You're listening to
Wrestling to the Max.
Alert. Clear all channels.
This is an exclusive
Pay-per-view review.
How you like that?
And your hosts, Gary Vaughn, Sean Garmer, and Paul Leeser.
Hello and welcome to Wrestling Max episode, or not episode, special number 4, where we are reviewing WWE Elimination Chamber. But we are also doing other things because we have a special announcement that we need to make. Gary, what is that?
This special announcement is going to affect everyone that usually listens to us on Tuesday nights, Wednesday morning. The reason we are changing is going to be for a reason that you probably heard in the news, but we'll let you know why. We are moving to Thursdays because all the shows besides WWE have changed their minds to go to Wednesday. We already have Lucha Underground and NXT on Wednesdays. Guess what? ROH and TNA are both moving to Wednesdays as well. Over half the show really is moving to Wednesdays. So instead of being grandma old on our reviews, we want to be fresh and hot for you guys. So we are going to move to Thursday nights just for you guys, not for our own entertainment, but for you. So it's going to be awesome and really cool. Excited about doing these shows fresh and not having to wait too long. So that's pretty cool news for everybody, and let us know what you think about it for sure. On this show, Sean's already told you we are doing Elimination Chamber. I can't wait to get into it. I know you guys can't either. We're also going to do a few show reviews because of our show change tonight. Those shows will include TNA. We'll also do Lucha Underground and NXT. So a little bit more than usual on the extras, but that's because, once again, because of the change. So I hope you enjoy it, and we'll be back on Thursday night. Don't forget that time, Thursday night, 11 p.m., 12 p.m. Central. Okay, well, guys, 12 a.m. Central, excuse me. I always say 12 p.m. But anyway, let's go ahead and introduce our guests. We have quite a few, and I'm so glad to have you guys on. The first guy I want to introduce tonight is a first-time guy on this show, and he is from Page 2 Sports, Brandon Briscoe Bing. Hey, man. Bisco Bing. Okay, there you go. I know, I always miss
God, Gary, you just botch everybody's names on here.
The problem is I didn't ask Brandon personally. I listened to Sean say it one time. I didn't, so. Anyway, Bisco Bing is his last name, and he is, of course, on Page 2 Sports. Welcome, man. How's it going?
Thanks. Yeah, I'm doing good. Tonight was a very good pay-per-view. I'm going to have a lot of fun talking about it.
Man, we are so excited to have you on talking about it. And, of course, we have two guys we love having on. The first I'll introduce is Mr. Harry Broadhurst from the Raw Reaction. Welcome to the show once again, buddy.
What's up, Gary? Hey, Sean. Hey, Paul. What's up, guys?
What's up?
And I think the guy booing over there is Mr. Patrick Ketza from Wrestling Unwrapped. Man, hey.
I'm beginning to think I'm on your show more than my own.
Yeah.
Well, in fairness, you do most of the talking on Fridays, Patrick. It is true, and I'm kind of starting to go hoarse from all of it anyway. But yeah, I am definitely excited for tonight. I had a lot of fun watching this one. Got a lot to say about this one, too.
I'm glad. Are you going to do like you do on Friday nights and hurt your back by carrying Harry?
Oh, man. We're getting into this already again?
Gary, he brought that up, not me. He said that, not me.
I'm just saying, Gary's
you never get to
instigating
go
again.
on the reaction anymore.
I know. Hey,
yeah. Because, Gary's going to really hurt by that one.
Yeah, but,
Not to mention, I do have to be nice to Harry because he does still run my mic on Fridays.
Oh, that's true. See, the same reason not to be nice to Sean. So, anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Well, enough kidding around, guys. We're having a lot of fun
I can just
here.
hit end button on this show right now, Gary. So you better watch it. No,
I know. Let's move on from all this. This is fun, guys, but people are wanting to hear about the Elimination Chamber, not our beef between each other. Let's go ahead and get started and go ahead and jump into that Elimination Chamber.
Let's do it.
Do it.
Ooh.
Go for it. I already played the music at the beginning.
Well, okay. I usually play a little music. So, did anybody watch the pre-show? I did a little bit.
I
not
watched
completely.
some of it. Didn't I? I saw pretty much the whole thing, but there wasn't really all that much, other than Daniel Bryan basically telling the Miz off, which was awesome.
It was. That was kind of fun to see, and I love the fact that they added the Mega Powers 2.0.
Oh yeah, that was awesome. What do you guys think of that whole new thing with the Mega Powers? I kind of like it, but at the same time, it's like, really? Are you really that unoriginal now, WWE?
My opinion on this is very well known.
Yes, you hating it. Yeah, we know that already.
Because well, the thing is I'm a huge Sandow mark, and I honestly think the guy deserves way better than what he's getting.
Oh, I completely agree with that. I
Oh, wait,
love
why do you
I
hate
love
Sandow?
Damian Sandow's old gimmick of the intellectual, the savior of the masses. I thought he was gonna be like the next. He was the new old school Triple H, the Connecticut Blue Blood kind of guy. I felt.
Mm-hmm. You can see that for sure. And we also had another match that I don't know if you guys even care about talking about, and I want to welcome Glenn Smith to the show. He's joining us as well right now. But we had this big, huge, giant, awesome match between Zack Ryder and, of course, you know who. But okay, do you guys even care about this match? I mean, I honestly feel like I'm wasting my time with this. This is something that's like,
Absolutely, I do not care whatsoever.
Well,
I
here's
care
the
at all.
thing. Here's the thing about it, Gary. It was supposed to be a house show originally until it got turned into the Elimination Chamber show, and that felt like a house show match.
Yeah, it really did. And I'm completely, not against them putting on matches like that on the pre-show, because the pre-show is kind of just there.
They did it last month, or last 2 weeks
They
ago.
do it on basically every pay-per-view where they put this one very random, very low-card match on the pre-show just to get everyone kind of in the groove and whatnot. And, I mean, I'm kind of used to it by now.
Yeah, I can understand that. It's just Stardust.
I just wish they would give Zack Ryder a little bit more of a push.
Yeah, I agree.
Woo, you know it.
I
wish.
I don't know. That time's probably sailed on the poor guy.
Well,
sailed.
unfortunately, but
It sailed a long, long time ago. But the problem is I think unless you just want to let the guy go, let him do something. I mean, yes, they gave him Raw last week. Nice, sweet, kind of them, but it was his hometown. Besides that, he's just nothing to them. And
that's basically all he is whenever they go to Nassau or they go to Brooklyn, it's, you're going to get a match tonight just because you're in your hometown.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much, honestly. That's the truth. So, but, Stardust was the winner of that match. If anybody didn't watch the pre-show, nothing special, like Harry had said. It was a house show match. And, the only thing I will say is really you can tell that they're pushing this whole thing with the character Arrow or the actor Stephen Amell, who is supposedly going to be wrestling at SummerSlam. I noticed they were really kind of hinting towards that really heavily, especially the King. Really kind of pushing that. So we'll have to see how that transpires. We won't say too much until we actually get more detail.
I mean, do we want to... Everybody, if you guys can keep this short, go around the horn and be like, how do you guys feel about Stardust and having a Stardust and Arrow match at SummerSlam?
I couldn't care less.
Poor Stardust.
Depends on the build-up.
I have no feeling one way or another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I will
I'm
say that
insanely...
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Harry.
Sorry, Paul. I will say that, did you notice that JBL gave Stardust's Crossroads a new name?
It just sounded like he was just trying to be cute. Like he wanted to make a joke out of something.
Yeah, I heard it, but I didn't really take it seriously. I thought of it as more of a joke, too.
Well, the thing was, with the arrow tie-in, he called it the Queen's Crossbow.
Okay.
I
probably missed that.
Yeah.
I felt that it kind of tied in towards what we were just discussing. All right, Paul, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm insanely pro. I'm a large Stephen Amell fan and a large Jero fan, so I'm okay with him being in my wrestling ring.
If he is going to be in the wrestling ring and he gets some experience, I just beg for them, when it gets closer to October, for them to put Crossbow versus Crossbow. That is Stephen Amell versus Daryl Dixon.
I just don't want this to become a WCW type thing where they end up somehow incredibly giving someone a title like WCW did to David Arquette.
Oh, I wouldn't worry about that. I think
Stephen Amell has won the world title. I'm going to say it again. Stephen Amell has won the World Heavyweight Championship.
Whatever, I'd
fired
mark.
for reminding us of that.
Paul would be gloating in his glory.
I think we're underselling the fact that, you know what, Stardust is not really doing anything, and to have a big match against a celebrity, that's a draw for SummerSlam. And I mean, Stephen Amell's a big WWE fan. If he's willing to go through the work of sort of training, we don't know. I mean, he already does stunts and stuff for Arrow. It's not like he's totally not doing, fighting scenes and whatever. I think this could be really interesting, I think.
Mm-hmm.
WWE's kind of been hit or miss on celebrities, but we have seen quite a few come and be prepared, and they're pretty... I mean, if Snooki can be decent, then everybody else,
Still the best the best celebrity thing in the last couple of years that I've seen was Michael Strahan coming in, and I think it was The Miz. He flipped The Miz over his shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
I'd actually disagree and say Ronda Rousey.
Well, okay. Well, I don't really consider that a celebrity though, because she's an MMA fighter. You can see that happening. It's like Mike Tyson coming in. I don't really consider that a true celebrity appearance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's been lots of
his own.
Mm-hmm. Lots of celebrity appearances have been out there, over time in WWE, and they've done pretty decent with them for the most part. I don't really think they've done a terrible job. You can even go back as far as Lawrence Taylor and things like that. So, let's go ahead and jump into this first match of the card, and this is, one that I think a lot of people were looking forward to seeing how this was all going to work out. I personally thought it was going to be very, very entertaining. I don't think it wasn't. I was entertained. And that is, of course, the Elimination Chamber tag match that was up for the tag team titles. And we had a bunch of tag teams in it, of course. But I'm just going to go around the horn with you guys and let each of you get a chance to talk about it, what you thought about it, and what you thought about some of these tag teams. Glenn, we'll start with you.
All right. First thing I want to say is that I was extremely thrilled by the fact that they had El Torito on top of the pod, and then as soon as Ladores came into the free for all, then he did that nice little pod dive.
I love it too.
I thought that was kind of neat to see.
That was cool to see.
I think on my end we may be on a slight delay, so if I may interject something, or if I'm saying something, just kind of bear with it. So
sure,
yeah,
fair enough.
So what was your thoughts? But go ahead.
Yeah, I gotta say, I was really impressed, the way that they did. The primetime players getting that quick roll up almost at the same time what Kid was getting a pin on Titus O'Neil. I thought that was really neat and just kind of added a layer of confusion. It's like this really makes anyone's game.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Brandon.
Well, I mean, I definitely thought it was an interesting concept. The one thing that I'd like to see, which I thought it was going to be originally, was instead of it being teams locked in the pods, I thought it was going to be a 3-on-3. Like, I don't know if you guys play the games, but they've got the 3-on-3 Elimination Chamber tag team matches.
Yeah, I was kind of. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go on. What were you gonna say?
I was kind of thinking the same thing when they were talking about well, at least when they were trying to do a rematch between the Wyatt family and the Shield from last year's Elimination Chamber. It's like I was hoping that they were going to do that 6-man a 3-on-3 elimination match. I just thought that would have looked really neat, especially Wyatt's and Shield.
Oh yeah,
So,
I think that would be a cool idea that I'd like to see. I mean, well, one thing I will say is I'm very glad that the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view came back, because I was very disappointed that they canceled it back in February, because I love the Chamber. But with the tag team match, the one big highlight I remember is, I forget if it was Sin Cara or the
Kalisto.
other dragon. Yeah, it was Kalisto that went up to the top of the chamber and dropped down. That was a cool moment in the match. And then we'll talk about this more later, I'm sure, but I wish they had done, especially considering the build up of what they, and the whole thing with the New Day, of what they were saying with Xavier Woods and him being, claustrophobic and everything. I wish they would have done the Wade Barrett treatment, or not Wade Barrett, the Sheamus treatment with the New Day, and build on that whole thing.
That would have been awesome.
It would have.
I would have been laughing, and I don't think I would have taken the rest of the match as seriously.
True.
All right, Harry.
I really liked the tag chamber match. The only thing that I disapproved of is I don't think Torito had any business being in that chamber to begin with.
Well, I'll agree with that. I mean, Natalya wasn't in the match.
They were saying that none of the seconds were going to be involved. I mean, obviously the New Day helped Rollins and the Authority out on SmackDown, so they got the right to have Xavier Woods as part of the match. But Natalya was on the floor looking fine, so why shouldn't Torito have been out of the cage as well?
Because he was smart and he just got in before somebody
He just
could tell him
decided
to
to
get
jump
out.
in. I'm small, so do you really think I'm that big of a threat?
Fair enough.
Pun intended or pun unintended?
A little bit of both.
Yeah.
Yeah, Patrick?
I mean, it kind of what was expected. I was expecting a total cluster, that's exactly what it was. I totally agree with Harry, though. I felt Torito had no right actually being inside of the cage for the match at all. I did like the kind of push that the primetime players got through the last part of the match, though. Like, they really got me going and thinking that they were going to win the belts. The ending I thought was kind of anticlimactic, but aside from that, I thought it was a great match and a great debut of a new match style.
Yeah, I would agree with that with the primetime players. One thing that I didn't exactly like, I mean, it kind of fits with the primetime players' persona, but I would have liked to have seen them and Tyson Kidd and Cesaro teaming up a little bit longer and giving having that 4-on-3 matchup a little longer and really seeing the New Day being pushed into the ropes.
Yeah,
True that.
I was actually kind of hoping that it was going to come down to Kidd, Cesaro, and primetime players. Like, they worry about eliminating the New Day, and then you're guaranteed new tag champs.
That's what I was thinking when it first happened, when they did that triple suplex, or the triple suplex.
The 3-man, 4-man suplex.
Yes, precisely. When that happened, I was thinking, okay, these two teams are going to team up for the time being just to get rid of the odd man situation, and then they'll go at it 2v2.
For sure. Well, Sean, Sean, what were your thoughts?
This match was really fun. I like the New Day messing with Kalisto when he got on top of the cage thing. I feel bad for him because it looked like he was really trying to do something spectacular from the top of the chamber, and when he was swinging himself, he couldn't get himself to actually go through and get any kind of lift. So instead of killing himself or something, he just basically splashed down on everybody, which made Torito's kind of awkward when he did it. But it was fun. I really enjoyed the fact that we got to see all of them in there. I was surprised that Primetime Players got to be, I don't know that you would have thought, oh, we'll have Primetime Players and New Day be the final two. I don't think that was in anybody's predictions, I don't think. I think good on them for that.
I had a feeling that New Day was going to be in the mix, and I was hoping that Primetime Players was going to be the other team, but... So I was
ditto.
The result.
My thing about the whole thing about the way that it came down is I honestly felt that the team that should have been the last team in the ring with the New Day should have been the Lucha Dragons, because if you think all the way back to Extreme Rules, the New Day cheated the Lucha Dragons out of getting the title shot against Tyson Kidd and Cesaro in the first place, and what better way to set up the tag title feud between the New Day and the Lucha Dragons than to have it come down to them inside of the Elimination Chamber match.
That's true.
I like how they started with Lucha Dragons and Ascension giving us a little NXT rematch there.
Yeah, I was loving that.
At some point.
I also for a small added thing, I feel bad for Kalisto because it looks like out of all of the guys that he was supposed to land on in his spot from the top of the cell, it looked like he hit about one. It looked like he just
I thought the same
just
thing.
Landed ass first on the mat, which had just sucked.
Yeah, that definitely looked bad. Oh man, hey, Paul. Now I want to hear your thoughts on this match, but I also want to ask you this question. I mean, New Day was the winners here; they won the match, and they did. Of course, they got the blessing of Kane and the Authority to have the extra man in this match. Boy, it did help them along and help them get this thing done and retain their titles. Was that the right move?
I mean, I don't think there's any other tag team as good as the New Day going on right now. As far as character development, as far as the whole total package, I think they have it right now. And they're very much the people who I think they're setting up for the Usos' eventual return, which it may be sooner rather than later. So building up the New Day is the right move for now, because we know the WWE is going to let the Usos fade off into obscurity, because what else are they going to use them for? So, otherwise, the match was very fun. Everybody else nailed the spots. And it's a fun match. It's a great way to open the show, I think, too.
Yeah, I could agree with that for sure. And you guys did make some great points in this. And I think as well, I think New Day is the team that makes the most sense here. I think a lot of us really feel like that, they're the best of the best right now until they move on and get somebody else in there that can really entertain and, of course, have good matches. So we have New Day winning, and of course, there's lots of other aspects of part of that match that we didn't talk about. But of course, if you do want to I want to let you guys know that, there are plenty of stuff to talk about. Go check out the match. We're kind of covering this quickly because we have so many guests on the show. So it's kind of hard for us to cover every little thing, a part of it. So, let's go ahead and move on. And I believe, if I'm not wrong, the next match was the Divas match, correct, guys? And we had Nikki as the champion here facing Naomi and Paige in a triple threat match. And there was a stipulation that was added. People have to remember this. There was nobody at ringside. It was disallowed, of course. So there you go. We just have a straight-up triple threat, which was interesting because I think a lot of people in their predictions kind of used some of the outside. I know I did, for the outside sources as being a contributing factor to the end of this match. Without that being told, It didn't happen, and we end up with Nikki Bella as the retaining Divas champion here. Harry, how did you feel about this, and what did you think about the match?
If we're being entirely honest, I thought the match was garbage.
Be honest as you want.
Well,
I honestly thought all three women were off tonight. There were several noticeably mistimed spots. When Paige went to take the reverse Rana from Naomi, she landed on Naomi's back. She wasn't there to catch the enziguri kick. And I thought the finish with the rack attack kind of came out of nowhere. It was just not a good performance from the Divas tonight.
Brandon, what did you think?
Well, I actually didn't watch the match, but, yeah, I mean, just knowing based on how those three perform, I'm not surprised at what, he was saying.
Mm-hmm. So did you think that the right person won in the match?
No, I definitely, I want Paige to get the title back at some point. Because I feel like the only two divas in the division, the only two women in the division right now that can truly go at it and truly know what they're really doing in there. Well, one now, but AJ was one, and Paige.
Fair enough.
See, I think Naomi and Natalya are underrated as workers.
Well, Natalya,
I don't know about that though,
I
but
agree
Naomi's
with you on
been
Natalya, but she's not really doing anything
sloppy
right now. She's with
lately.
she's with Kid and Cesaro, so she's not really wrestling anymore.
Right, but she's definitely a credible hand to have in that division, I feel.
Yeah.
Oh, but I can understand his point though. She's not wrestling right now, so you can't count her as part of the division right now. She's just not in it.
Yeah.
Patrick, what were your thoughts?
Again, I agree that it seemed like everybody was just off. The entire match seemed sloppy. On the reverse Rana, where she landed on Naomi's back. Originally, I thought Paige landed on her own damn head. And
That's
the
what
way
I thought
she sold
too.
it, yeah, because and then the way she kind of sold it with everything, and then just rolled right off the floor. I'm saying, like, I even thought that like she had broken her neck or something. Obviously, once I saw the replay, though, it was clear that they shouldn't have shown the replay. Honestly, it probably would have played better if it looked like she did break her neck, and they could have played it off better. But yeah, it was an off night, and it was kind of, with the whole give Divas a chance thing, it was kind of, 2 steps forward, but I think this was definitely the 1 step back, and, you can tell they're trying, but tonight just wasn't their night.
Mm-hmm. So, Glenn, do you agree with these guys? I mean, so far we've got 3 guys sitting here saying that this match was not very good, and it needed to be better to make them have that whole moment of give Divas a chance.
I will say, unfortunately, this is my opinion. I can sum it up in 2 words about this match: bathroom break.
Yep, that's exactly what I did.
I don't blame you. I think a lot of people...
That's what I do with all of the Divas matches.
I mean, it's really kind of it's sad as is, because I mean I can remember last year they when main event was live on Tuesdays instead of whatever they're doing it now. I saw a phenomenal match between Paige and Naomi, and they're like all these sorts of roll up combinations. It's like you have that quick schoolboy, the 1-2 counters into another pin, and so on and so forth. It seemed like they had like a Macho Man steamboat sequence in terms of shifting of the pin attempts. But when you added Nikki to the mix, I mean, it just wasn't good. I mean, they could have easily had 1,000 times a better match without Nikki even being in the ring.
Paul?
Yeah, they nailed it. There's a lot of mistimed spots that are very plain to see. I think the finish even was crap. I don't know what else you can do with Nikki as champion. I mean, because obviously now it's going to be Nikki and Paige, but whatever. I think they missed a chance to make Naomi into something instead of just being a pretender to sort of whatever's happening right now. Because she's the only one that's had any real development in the last 2 weeks.
Well,
Go ahead, Harry.
here's the thing, Paul. You say that it's going to lead to Nikki and Paige. No, I got a funny feeling that it's even going to stretch out further than that, and I don't think Nikki's going to drop that title until Brie takes it off of her.
Really?
Lord knows we don't need to know the growing up Bella.
No, I don't want to see that. I'd much
Oh
rather
dear
see,
lord! Oh dear lord!
I'd much rather see Nikki take her shot at Stephanie, if we're going to do something like that, than have another Brie-Nikki thing. It doesn't work. It didn't work the first time. It's not going to work the second time.
They just can't wrestle, neither one of them.
It shouldn't even be about Stephanie anymore, Sean. It should be about rebuilding the divas you have who are going to wrestle weekly. And it's not, if it's about Stephanie, then it's not going to be about that.
Well, I mean, but, you know, they showed during that they could have two divas feuds going on at the same time, and they were actually sort of, you know, whatever, decent. But I'm just giving a thought of, I can't imagine that with Total Divas about to start again, that we're not going to have, either it's going to happen just as was said, that either somebody else is going to come take it off Nikki much later, or see, it just didn't make sense to me, because I was thinking this is the time to give it to Naomi, because then you can do another 3-way with them at Money in the Bank, because it's coming so close, and then you can have Nikki do whatever she's going to do, and have it be Paige and Naomi for a while, because now you start going into the regular set of pay-per-views, whether once a month or whatever. That's the way I thought it was going, but I have a feeling that it's not being lost on anyone that, you know, Nikki's still kind of getting the most reaction of anyone that's there. Naomi's been pretty sloppy wrestling-wise, which doesn't help you when you're trying to show that you need to be champion, which isn't always her fault, to be honest. Yes, there have been many times where Paige is not where she's supposed to be, or there's a miscommunication, which can happen when you don't get a lot of time to wrestle against each other. Whatever, you know, just, I don't know, but perhaps we're just going to have a bunch of, what we thought was going to happen with Rollins, maybe this is what's going to happen with the Divas. We're just going to have a bunch of multi-person matches. And until they figure out what they're doing.
And honestly, you know, I know someone said it earlier that you know, they kind of say that the matches are bad when Nikki and Brie are in the matches. I wouldn't necessarily put the blame for tonight's match on one particular diva. It could have just been an off night altogether with just miscommunication and everything. Because from a personal standpoint, I feel like Nikki, in somewhat Brie, but Brie doesn't wrestle as often, but I feel like Nikki has gotten better in the ring. The only one out of the three tonight that I think has not gotten better is Naomi. But in terms of tonight's match, I would not really put any blame on one specific person. I would just put it up as just an off night altogether.
I would give them credit, though. They tried to do 3-person moves quite often. I thought we were going to get a lot of what it was at the beginning, with one person being rolled out and having it be a singles match mostly. I give them credit, even though it was kind of sloppy most of the time, or they didn't get it right, or whatever. I give them credit for trying.
Yeah,
you know?
Sure. All right, guys. Well, let's move on past this match. I think we've talked enough about a match that really no one liked that much.
Yes, please.
Let's talk about one I think a lot of people probably did like, and I'm just kind of curious really what each of you had to say about this match, because this is the one that really had me anticipating watching the Elimination Chamber, and that is Kevin Owens, the NXT champion, versus John Cena, the United States champion, in a champion versus champion match here at the Elimination Chamber. And I'm just so curious about this. You know, Brandon, what did you think about this?
Let me just say this. This is one of two matches. Well, the second match they somewhat got right, but this is the one match that they got absolutely dead on right. And I am so happy that the writers actually got something right for once. They gave a guy in Kevin Owens, and he's been talking about it and doing this whole thing for the past couple of weeks of, I've been in this business for, he said, what, like 18 years, something like that? And
15.
15 years, thank you. He's been in this business for 15 years, hasn't had his opportunities, has been this guy that has been, you know, pushed under the rug time and time again, and he goes up against the guy, the Hulk Hogan, John Cena, the big head honcho of the company, and you're thinking, oh, there's no chance in hell that WWE is going to allow their top superstar to lose to a guy that hasn't been given opportunities. But they actually did it, and I hope and pray that Kevin Owens goes on to have an amazing career in WWE, because there have been guys time and time again, Daniel Bryan, I mentioned earlier, Zack Ryder, Dolph Ziggler, CM Punk, so many guys that have been in the industry for so many years that haven't gotten their opportunities, and WWE, once they've picked them up, have said, oh, you need to work your way up. You need to, do all of these things for us that we wouldn't ask our guys that we picked off because we thought they were better than you from the beginning. And they just pushed these guys to the side because they didn't get their opportunities. And they actually got it right for once. And I hope Kevin Owens goes on to win in U.S. Intercontinental WWE Championships and goes on to have a great career in the WWE.
Well, aside from the CM Punk being lumped in with those people, I would completely agree with you. CM Punk got
in the
every
beginning,
opportunity.
I'm saying, I will say, CM Punk did get his opportunities later on, but they did kind of short-sight him at times.
Now, Glenn, did you think that this is just shows that John Cena is just being the best he's ever been? Taking care of the young guys, having great matches, and really not selling it for himself. He's really helping more of other people than his own career.
You're absolutely right, but I gotta say, this was by far the match that really kind of kept me going. All right, it made me second guess. Oh, come on, Kevin, get it. I know you can do it. Make your son proud. I mean, have any of you guys seen that in video of his son witnessing his in-ring debut, the Raw debut of Kevin Owens?
No.
Yeah. I saw his son's reaction. He was so excited.
Oh yeah, that was the reason why I was do it for your son, man. You're always saying that you haven't told a lie about what you were doing. You're saying that you're going after what's going to and make a better life for your family. And also for that matter, he was. It was also kind of the dream match of ROH fans from 2012, and just getting that dream match that we never thought would ever happen, but it actually did happen. I mean, I gotta say, I truly loved it, and I just went ape as the minute the ref counted 3. After that pop-up powerbomb by Owens. I had such a smile on my face. I mean, I know I'm a John Cena fan through and through, but it was really neat to see a guy that really made a name for himself on the indies become a major thing. And also we got fan reactions that were similar to Shocked Undertaker guy.
Yeah, for sure. You're right. And what was interesting looking at this is the fact that John Cena tried so hard on Monday Night Raw to get people to chant "Fight Owens, fight." And Patrick, we didn't really get that. They still chanted "Cena sucks, let's go Cena." So, I mean, I think the reaction was okay, but I mean, overall, how did you feel about the match and everything that entailed?
I needed a friggin' cigarette after this one.
That's the key moment for people that smoke. You went through a lot when you go, I need a fucking cigarette.
No, I was absolutely blown away. Legitimately, I wish someone had taken a picture, but I was just on my knees on the floor with my jaw totally open because it's how often does not so much how often does Cena lose, but how often does Cena lose, as my colleague Harry just messaged me. Just
Clean.
bed sheet, clean, middle of the ring, no screwiness, nothing. When was the last time that truly, legitimately happened? That does not
Daniel
happen.
Bryan at SummerSlam.
Yep, that was what I was gonna say.
So that's what, almost 2 years ago.
Yep.
You know, so that is something that just does not happen. And like, as someone who you know, I know it's going to sound kind of smartish, but you know, I did follow Kevin Steen, you know, through Ring of Honor, and when he won the AAW Heavyweight Championship, you know, over here in Chicago, and I've just been a huge fan. So for him to debut by beating, you know, the 15-time world champion, you know, they must see something in Kevin Steen, the person. You know, they must see something in him, and I am absolutely so excited to have seen this match, which was an absolutely unbelievable match. You know, they beat the hell out of each other and hit each other with, you know, the best spots. There were a few times that this match could have ended. I mean, a fisherman buster off the second rope is almost unthinkable in a WWE ring. You know, and then we saw that. You know, we saw Owens hit, you know, a senton. You know, and then like we said, it finally finished. Yeah. Oh, like I think the collective IWs, you know, the internet wrestling community, just creamed their pants when they saw the tease for the package pile driver. You know, so
I made this joke in the in the Yes thread. I said, "Is this going to be the Hideo Itami GTS tease for WWE? He's just going to keep doing it every match until he does it at a house show and everybody goes crazy?"
No, it's maybe he saves it. Maybe he saves it and actually hits it at like WrestleMania or something, and you know they get the biggest reaction they can. But I'm excited now to see where this goes from here on out and what's going to happen with Kevin Owens. I'm
excited, but at the same time, I'm kind of a little nervous because time and time again, you've seen guys come up and do really well in the beginning. I mean, guys like, the guy who we'll be talking about in a little bit, Ryback, who he came up, started off really well, and then kind of died out. And I'm worried that that'll happen with Kevin Owens. I hope they keep this momentum, and I hope that he'll be able to go on to bigger things and get title shots.
But guys like Ryback never beat Cena in the middle of the ring.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, great points, guys. Definitely. And Harry, I mean, you have followed Kevin Steen for quite a long time. I know, you work with the Indies, and you've probably even been around the guy personally. What did you think about this match overall? I'm kind of curious if you were enthused as these guys were.
Well, I have a couple of different thoughts as far as the match itself go. One, as Patrick said, and he stole my line here, we're talking on Facebook Messenger while we're on the show here. The clean as a sheet pinfall surprised me because I honestly thought that they were going to go to a no contest tonight. Because I really thought that they were going to have that rematch now that we know that Owens is on the roster full-time at Money in the Bank. They got announced a little bit later on. But I figured that rematch was going to be announced because there was no decisive winner in this match. But that being said, I have a couple complaints about this match here. One, I thought there were far too many kickouts for some of Owens' biggest stuff there. There was no reason for him to use the Swanton tonight to have it be a throwaway move. If he's going to use it tonight, let the foot end up on the rope there. Don't have a clean kickout for that move because that is a move where a guy his size doing it should be a pinfall.
Yeah.
Also, I'm worried about how Cena bumps that pop-up power bomb because both times tonight he landed on his elbows. And if he keeps doing that, he's going to end up blowing out an elbow or ending up another one of those swollen ones like he had a couple months ago when he had to take time off from.
I was worried about that one, too.
Hey,
I know that's not...
If I could say something about just the moment that the moment that I was hearing talk back and like at the upcoming Raw schedules and pay-per-view schedules about Kevin Owens being on that list of like talents that are confirmed to be at these shows, I just went absolutely like excited because like I have a great feeling that this Cena Owens thing, I think this could possibly lead up to Mania for next year.
Definitely, and that's, you bring up a good point, Glenn. And I definitely want Harry to answer that question as well, because with those appearances comes Owens' new contract that he signed with WWE to be on the main brand of their wrestling shows. So you can finish what you wanted to say, Harry, but I also want to hear you talk about the new signing.
I'm fine with him signing up to the main roster. I'm just worried about what this is going to mean for the NXT title, because the main thing is you're pushing this guy as the face of NXT, but at the same time, you're going to have to eventually have him drop the NXT title. And in order to do that, you're going to have him lose to somebody on the NXT roster. You're going to have to find the right person to have him drop it to and the right way to have him drop it. I saw a suggestion that made a lot of sense, and that was for him to drop it in a lumberjack match to Finn Balor with everybody that he put out of action or assaulted or won after as the lumberjacks. Sami Zayn, Alex Riley, Solomon Crowe, William Regal himself. So that made sense there, because you could put him over. You could put Balor over, but the thing is you could have one of those other people get involved there, which A, builds in a feud for Balor because he wouldn't want to win the title dirty, and B, gives you a reason to get the belt off of Owens without having to have him do a clean pinfall on the way out of NXT.
Yeah, it's a good point, and I would worry about that as well. I kind of had my concerns looking at it, because he will be in NXT for at least a couple more months while he's doing appearances on Raw and other pay-per-views. So it's something to watch for sure. Paul, what was your thoughts on this?
I think the guys nailed it pretty much on all the good and bad things about this. I will say what is so refreshing about Kevin Owens is that he's a heel in wrestling, and you don't always get this anymore, who comes out and says what he's going to do and then does it clean. When you look at promotions, and I bag on TNA a lot for this too, but WWE does it a lot too, where they just don't let heels win clean all the time. And the main event,
ever see it.
Yeah, and the main event's going to be a prime example. But there's something so refreshing about a main event, or not a main event, but a heel who just comes in, says what he's going to do, does it, and then you're just left in awe of him. And that's what Kevin Owens is, and that's why I think tonight was so... as impressive as him getting the win over Cena clean, I think it's more impressive that he's just the heel that gets the job done clean.
Yeah,
that's the best.
And not only does it do that, but it builds credibility because he says what he's going to do, and he does it. No questions asked.
Yeah, that's the cool thing. I like that. And as I said, you don't really see this at all. You don't see a heel that is just... He's only a heel because he speaks his mind. If this were like the Attitude Era, or if this were a different time, he would be more of a Stone Cold, tweener type of guy, I feel. Because, the only reason why he's a heel is because he speaks his mind and he goes after guys and tells them, look, I'm better than you, and I'm going to kick your ass, and that's that.
Sean, any thoughts?
What came away for me is just how everything was packaged, how it was all done correctly. I will have to disagree with Harry about, at the time, we didn't know they're going to do rematches, so I think having this show-stopping match to introduce Kevin Owens, I think we're not just talking about this. For one, this was the one match where the crowd was in it the entire time. It totally gassed the crowd out, okay, to the point where they were really into this. So I think, and we're not even talking about this crappy Crown and Corpus Christi, which it was, which they always are, but that's beside the point. And we're talking about everybody watching him for the first time, because there are a lot of people that may watch the network, but they may never hit the NXT button. And you see him, and then the people around the world that may not know who he is just watching on pay-per-view or whatever else, having this big show-stopping match, having it where there's so many near falls, you're gasping, you're like, oh my god, that could have ended. Oh my god, yes. Maybe it is a little bit too much or whatever, but now you set the bar. Now you have to wonder, how the hell do you do this at Money in the Bank again, which I don't know that it's going to meet that, but I just thought everything just so beautifully done. Just, we had two extremes. We had one guy that said he was crying, and one guy, Chris made the joke of, sorry, I creamed my pants. I need to go, change my underwear or whatever. But that's the feeling that you got when this was over. Like, oh my God, this has happened, and it was done so great. And the faces in the crowd that they showed, just everybody's like look on their face, like, oh my God, I can't believe it happened either. Just
Shocked
this
Undertaker
is why
guy.
all this was done right. This is why you built this up, and this wasn't even for the title, and they were going that hard. I have to wonder if we ever get a title shot for Owens, how much crazier it's going to be.
That's the one problem I see with that is, obviously, they've already set up a rematch for this. They don't really have anywhere to go from here, other than maybe putting in a certain stipulation that makes it a little crazier. But yeah, this match, there were so many kickouts, so many big moments. I was thinking, considering how long it was going and everything, I was thinking, okay, they're going to give Cena the match but the fact that he lasted so long was going to give him some credibility. But then when he wins, it's like, okay, where do we go from now?
Well, obviously Cena wants his rematch, right? Because he just lost to the freaking NXT champion. I mean, this is your
But then
15th...
if you have Cena win the next match, then that basically destroys any type of heat that Owens has. Because
I think this goes down like Brock
Lesnar.
Lesnar. I think this goes down immediately, just like Brock Lesnar, where Cena's going to get really close, but he's not going to win. Because this is not going to end at Money in the Bank. They got to have this thing go for a while.
I want to see the end of this. I want this to go up to October, and the end of it be in Hell in a Cell.
At the very least, right now, I would probably venture a guess and say this ends in a U.S. title match in Brooklyn.
I mean, it would have to end in a U.S. title match. How else?
I don't see it, especially with that thing that leaked a while back of the U.S. title match picture between Roman Reigns and John Cena.
So which means that Roman Reigns wouldn't win Money in the Bank, and he's completely out of the WWE World Heavyweight title picture.
Well, he barely got involved tonight, and I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit later on in the discussion of Elimination Chamber.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so let's go ahead and jump into that, guys. We do have an Elimination Chamber, and this is for the Intercontinental Championship, and this is, of course, going to have several guys in here, a lot of hard hitters. We have Mr. King Barrett himself versus R-Truth. We also have Ryback, Sheamus. Rusev was unable to wrestle, so they had to put Mark Henry in this match, and Dolph Ziggler. So we had all these guys enter the chamber. We had a lot of interesting things happen. I'm going to let you guys talk about those interesting things. And, of course, Patrick, we'll start with you. What did you think about this?
Well, wait a minute. Didn't you just skip a match?
No.
I did. I'm sorry. I did. You're right. You're right. Thank you for helping me out here.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't, I know a lot of people wanted me to forget about that, but you're so right. Bo Dallas versus Neville. So why don't you start us on that?
I completely forgot. Oh, yeah, that was the other NXT match.
I got ahead of myself here. Thank you, Patrick, for keeping me honest.
No problem. It's the least I can do. Where would you guys be if I didn't, guest host on this thing?
I know.
Quit putting yourself over, jackass.
You do it all the time, Harry.
Yeah, exactly. Shut up. As far as the Neville Bow match, it's nice that they were actually playing into the NXT rivalry there. So if you think about it, he had two consecutive matches that were kind of surrounding NXT surrounding it. I still don't know where they're really going to go with this turn for Bo, though, this more darker, meaner turn, unless they actually are going to pull the trigger and have him, join Bray or something. I do think the right guy won, though, being Neville with the red arrow. But other than that, I mean, it was the definition of a cool down match after, because you had the match you had just seen with Owens and Cena, you had the match afterwards with the Chamber, and then that immediately followed up with the World Championship match. So they wanted to cool the crowd down.
And
Right Guy won, and it was a nothing match.
You could definitely tell it was a cool down match because you did not hear a soul in the arena the whole match.
No, because the crowd was still shocked about the fact that Cena had just lost clean.
It's true. That is true. And,
And also, they're probably having their cigarette at that time.
I know I was.
Great point, Glenn. I love it. So Glenn, what were your thoughts? Did anything stand out to you in this really cool down match?
The only thing I can really think of that really stood out was just the way that Bo is kind of going. It's like instead of going from that happy-go-lucky, annoying dude from last year, it's like he's definitely kind of making a slow evolution into like a character that could really change WWE come late this year.
Where is he gonna go from here, you think?
It's all up to it's up to the powers that be, but I think personally, not just because this is something that I want to see personally, but I think just having him go into doing the new Wyatts, just because having Rowan and Harper, they were like the lost souls. And it's like Bray's job was trying to save them. Bo's trying to almost mimic that, but he's not able to almost save and salvage himself. So, I mean, that's just kind of the direction that I could see them going in.
I'm just trying to envision that, and I just cannot see that this very happy-go-lucky. I mean, obviously, it's all a facade and everything, and he's being sarcastic about it. But this very happy-go-lucky, happy, smiling type of guy all the time being associated with the Wyatts. It just sounds very weird to me.
Yeah, I'm very against Bo Dallas being part of the Wyatt family.
Yes, far-fetched indeed.
But I will say this, and Sean has told me...
We got Chris Lemsky calling in.
Oh, okay, awesome. Hey, Chris, welcome to the show, man. We're just talking about one of your favorite matches on the card. I know you're excited about talking about it. It is Bo Dallas and Adrian Neville. Oh, excuse me, Neville. No,
yeah, Gary, come on.
No, I'm sorry. Antonio Cesaro and all that.
Harry's just going to call out all your botches, Gary.
Yeah, but no, I purposely said that. It makes me mad Adrian's not part of the Neville. So anyway, you're getting into this whole discussion of this match. What did you think about the match?
Of Bo Dallas and Adrian Neville?
Mm-hmm.
It was, I felt bad for those guys because they were in a bad position of following Owens and Cena, and I know my heart really wasn't into it too, because I was still completely shocked of the Owens Cena finish. So, but this match was okay. I mean, we've already seen Neville squash Dallas before so many times. It's like, it just pretty much just felt like that in an extended squash.
Very much so. So let me ask a couple more people what they think about this particular match, and I'm going to get back to you, Chris. I want to hear what you think of the card so far, but I want to get the rest of these guys' questions or answers about the whole card. So let's go ahead and talk about this, Harry. What did you think about the cool-down match? I mean, I forgot about it. It was so cool.
Well, here's the thing. It goes back to what Sean said a little bit earlier, too, and the fact that Corpus Christi crowd tonight was garbage. Much like the Divas triple threat match. But anyways, as far as Neville and Dallas goes, it was there to give Neville a big win on a pay-per-view and help continue Neville's rise up the card, because you'll notice almost immediately after this match he was announced for the Money in the Bank ladder match.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
Very
much so.
I'm sure we'll talk about this more later on, but that the people that were announced for the Money in the Bank ladder match, there are some people that I expected, but others that are like, why are they there? And
to fill spots and do crazy stuff. Like that's why Kofi and Neville are there, just as bodies, and they're just high spots.
Mm.
If I may, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say Neville. I can buy winning. I just wonder why the hell one half of the tag champs is in it.
1/3 of the tag champs.
Well,
don't forget.
So bad it's half.
It's appropriate that you. I was actually watching the pay-per-view with one of the other co-hosts of the reaction tonight, Jimmy Christopher, and Jimmy was questioning the same thing. As a matter of fact, that's going to be the topic of his fat-ass facts.
Oh, I know he's angry. I know he is angry about that, because he was...
Oh, that's going to be his topic for fat-ass facts tomorrow night.
I know he is so incensed at the whole, we didn't have new tag champions today.
Harry, finish your thoughts.
Oh, no, I finished my thoughts. I thought it was an okay match. It was just there to serve a purpose of continuing Neville's push.
Okay. Paul, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, copy and paste Harry's thoughts here.
Okay. Sean, any final thoughts on this match?
This was good. I got a lot more time than I thought it would. And Bo was actually competitive, which would have, mattered if he hadn't gotten squashed so many times. Note to WWE, if you want to have a pay-per-view match, stop having matches that don't matter on other shows. God damn it, I'm so tired of this. Like, I know I just said God damn it, the same thing, that's terrible. But that's how angry I am at the fact that they waste match. How are we supposed to care about Bo Dallas if you have him get totally squashed on a bunch of shows, and then we're supposed to take him seriously on a pay-per-view? I mean, does this make sense to anyone? Like...
No.
Nope.
Okay.
I didn't get why the match happened on pay-per-view when Neville beat him on SmackDown a week and a half ago.
Well, if it happened on SmackDown, it didn't happen. But that's...
I thought that same philosophy also applied for Superstars as well.
Well, Superstars is a whole different ordeal. That if you
even
watch that,
Superstars?
more power to you.
Yeah.
Brain dead mummy cats.
Precisely. Or main event for that matter. Does that even exist anymore?
They actually put it back on the network now, but I think it's like on a certain delay. I think it's like a 2-week delay on the network now.
Yeah, for sure. So, okay, well, guys, I want to get to Chris real quick because Chris did not get a chance to chime in on the rest of this card. So, Chris, go ahead and chime in on what your thoughts were on all the matches that led up to the World Heavyweight Championship match.
The tag match is good. I mean, it's just a little clusterfuck at first, but once it got down, like the last three tag teams, it kind of got better. I don't know if Kalisto was stalling because he was nervous about his spot, but he just kept. It was kind of awkward how they kept like going back to him, like when both he and Sin Cara were like on the top rope or the top of this chamber. Like I'm assuming they were gonna do like a double splash, but then they kept doing the whole New Day is holding his foot, even though it didn't look like they were, that they were. So.
All right, what did you think about the Divas match?
I am very surprised Nikki Bella retained. I thought that this was going to be Naomi's moment to shine, because I kind of figured that was the point of her turning heel, is to introduce this new strong character. And I was hoping that when Naomi would win, she gets a good strong reign, and then that's when Sasha Banks debuts against her. But that hasn't happened yet. There was a couple of mini botches in that match too, but
yeah.
You are being so much nicer about it than we were earlier.
Yeah,
I'm giving you a bit of
hot garbage.
I could go on a tirade so there's a lot of wrong in that match, but I want to keep it PG tonight.
Yeah.
You don't have to. I just broke the...
Oh, Sean's done it twice already.
Yeah, I broke the PG thing already.
Sean, he needs to start putting explicit because he's usually the one that drops the first bomb. So, But
I think you're allowed a certain number, Gary, before you have to put in explicit. So
yeah, I don't know.
Sean?
You're right.
Sean coming next week to W2M, the swear jar.
Yes. Hey, man, we'll make a lot of money there.
Oh God.
You know, when
I'm
I watch
already
the
broke. I
Divas,
don't need to be
match,
any more broke. Go ahead. Sorry.
when I watch the Divas match, I keep thinking to myself, like, all right, where the hell is the accomplishers Sasha Banks and Charlotte? Let's just get some new blood in this, because, good God, these women need to go.
Yeah, I think if you watch NXT TakeOver and then you watch this, I think Chris's thoughts are exactly what everybody's thinking. Okay, Chris. So we got also you've already talked about the Neville, another match. Let's see. You kind of talked a little bit about it, but I want to hear your full thoughts on Cena and of course Kevin Owens.
Oh God, this is awesome. Match of the year candidate for me. People don't give Cena enough credit. When it comes to big matches, he really knows how to shine through. Like, they're busting all the stops. Kevin Owens' little moonsault was amazing. When he hit the first pop-up powerbomb, I expected that to kick out, and I expected the match to be over after the 1AA, and I was happy that he kicked out of that. And then once the second powerbomb hit, I was sad to myself, like, oh my God, a clean finish, and then the three could happen. And I just sat there and in shock for a second, like, holy shit, they're really behind Kevin Owens. This is amazing. John Cena lost clean, and this is proof of something, is that he lost clean. That means Vince is behind this too. That Vince is behind the Owens train as well.
He's behind that big gut.
Yeah. Hey, he beat his top star clean. That rarely ever happens. The last thing that happened was...
Yeah.
I think the size doesn't matter that much anymore, or what you look like. It's how you can get over. Now,
yeah, exactly.
Look at. Okay, case in point. Roman Reigns gets blasted. What is he doing right now? What is all these other people doing that are not the tallest or the best looking or whatever? Who's your champion right now? This really small guy, right? Like, who's going against him? This guy that's not that big either.
So you're saying Seth Rollins not good looking?
I'm not. That's on you, Gary. If you want to talk about Seth Rollins being good looking,
we all know Rollins isn't packing much. So I mean, there you go.
Well, hang on. I actually kind of get into that in my actual most recent podcast episode. I kind of do almost like an editorial shoot part. I was given my thoughts on the whole part where Vince Russo actually kind of had that blog post of talking about why Kevin Owens won't be a star, and I mean I just think that's a load of garbage that he couldn't even know that at the direction that WWE is going is completely different than what it was in the Attitude Era.
Let me sum this up for you. Vince Russo himself is garbage.
So. Russo's just trolling people to get their response out of. He's just trying to keep his name relevant. At this point, that's all it is.
Can I just point out that if Gary thinks Seth Rollins is attractive, there's nothing wrong with
that. Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, but anyway.
He's got that Bieber look.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, never mind. That's turn off.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So, well, enough about Justin Bieber. Let's move on and let's talk about the IC title match in the Chamber, guys. Brandon, kick us off here on this match. What were your thoughts about it, and how did you feel about Mr. The Ryback himself winning this match?
Well, first off, I love that Daniel Bryan called him the Ryback.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, there weren't really... I mean, it was a good match all in all, but I feel like they didn't utilize the Chamber as much as they could have. And, I mean, it was a good, solid match all in all. I liked... It was funny to see what they did with Sheamus's pod, and as I mentioned earlier, I wish they would have done it instead to New Day during the tag team match, but it was still a funny moment, a lighthearted moment in the match. But all in all, I don't really have all that much to say about it. I mean, the one thing I will say, I kind of wish they put someone else that they could have actually done something with in place of Rusev, given someone a little bit of a push as a result of that. You know, they had the opportunity to give someone a chance that they wouldn't have put in there otherwise, but instead they put one of their guys that everyone knows, and you knew that he was going to lose. He was just a placeholder, and you knew that it was just going to be another Royal Rumble type of thing where everyone's going after the big guy. So I mean, it was a decent match. It was an Elimination Chamber match, which I love to see, but they could have done so much more with it.
I understand. Not everybody has a taste for sexual chocolate, Mark Henry.
Gary.
But moving on, let's go ahead and move over to Patrick. What were your thoughts?
I mean, for the most part, a good wrestling match, but for a chamber match, overwhelmingly boring. This should not have been in a chamber. You could have just done a 6-pack challenge, and it never, and there wouldn't really have been a difference. Yeah. My favorite spot of the match was the whole thing with Sheamus and the Celtic Cross, stuck in the door. I absolutely loved that.
That was the only interesting moment of the match, really.
It really was, though, which is, pretty much the issue, I think. But like I said, for a chamber match, extraordinarily boring. But in terms of being just, say it was just a regular match, it was fine by me. I did like the moment with Phil Ryback and Daniel Bryan at the end. I did think that was a cool moment, But the problem is that they're trying to bring prestige back, to the Intercontinental Championship, and, Daniel Bryan is a person who can have really good matches, similar to how Cena's trying to do with the U.S. title. Ryback's improving, but he's definitely no Daniel Bryan, and I don't know that, he can have the type of matches that Daniel was kind of expected to have. So time will tell. They kind of did the torch passing, with the Intercontinental belt tonight. But I just think they went with the wrong guy, quite honestly.
I would have to agree with that. And one thing that I'm worried about that I can kind of see happening already, and I don't know what you guys think about this, but they're trying to, over the past couple of years, I think they did one last year, I forget. I know they did one a couple of years ago, but they're trying to bring back King of the Ring. Yet, the guys that have won King of the Ring haven't done anything afterwards. So, I don't know what the point of King of the Ring is anymore, because I feel like they're going to do the same exact thing with Wade Barrett, where he's going to get chances, maybe, but they're not going to give him that push that they used to back in the 90s.
Well, don't
Well,
forget,
he's already a jobber again anyway, so.
Pretty much, yeah.
You're forgetting about a good run as a King of the Ring was King Booker, how.
Well, but I'm still counting. That was back in what, 2003?
6.
Oh, 6. Okay, so it was a little later, but he was already established at that point. He was already a pretty big name. So I don't really count that. Like, when I think of King of the Ring, I think of it back in the, early to mid, throughout the 90s, where they would give up-and-coming guys King of the Ring, and that was the beginning of their main event push. And now it seems like King of the Ring isn't really much of anything.
Well, to be fair with the King of the Ring, they advertised this year's, within a week, and they gave it to Barrett. Yeah, so we already knew that it just didn't mean much. They gave it to a guy they don't have any confidence in.
Well,
who gets hurt all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
Exactly.
See, from a personal standpoint, I think they brought back the King of the Ring just to see if they could garner interest. And I kind of think that tonight, with the continuation of it, to see if they can garner interest in not a major show, like not a major pay-per-view, but like a semi-major event, strictly for the network, and see if they can garner enough interest and try and get enough viewers in an extremely short amount of time. King of the Ring was done in 3 days. This tonight was done in only about 2 weeks. But this was a pay-per-view quality show that they delivered. I think they're gonna. I think tonight was the continuation of an experiment that they started with the King of the Ring. Where they can see if they can kind of start splitting it off now and having a major show maybe every 2 weeks, one on the network only and one on the pay-per-view.
Fair enough.
The thing about this was that, King of Ring, you sort of have it too, but with the Elimination Chamber, I think a lot of people, when they heard that it was canceled in February, I think a lot of people, myself included, said, we love the Elimination Chamber, we want to see it brought back. So the fact that it came in so quickly, if it were just a regular pay-per-view type event, a mini pay-per-view, like in your house type of thing, I don't think it would have really gotten many views.
I see that. Chris, you had mentioned, confidence, and that's a very interesting word when it comes to Ryback. Do you have confidence in Ryback after seeing this match and him being the victor?
It's good. Good for him that he won. I'm surprised that they gave it to him because isn't he still working hurt?
I don't know. Anybody else have any word on him? I haven't heard much.
No, I got no word, and I haven't heard anything since after Payback.
Okay. Well, yeah, it's surprising he won too. Speaking of Payback, he loses to Wyatt, and Wyatt's nowhere to be found. Yet the guy he beat wins the IC belt. Brilliant booking.
WWE logic for you.
Yeah.
Hey, Glenn, did you kind of feel the same way? It's kind of maybe the wrong choice, or?
I actually completely disagree. I think there is a reason why Ryback has been chosen to take the ball and run with it. They're doing this as like a test run to see how far can he take this title and make it mean something. I think this is kind of being a pilot test for him to see what will happen if he would have done a major like the world. That's just my thoughts on.
Okay, fair enough. I think we lost Harry, if I'm not wrong.
No, I'm still here.
Oh, who did we lose? I know we lost.
We lost Chris. He just told me he's going to call right back.
Oh, okay. I know we lost somebody. I wasn't sure. Harry, what were your thoughts?
I think this match was hurt by a dead crowd, and the reason I say that is because I don't think that they went as all out as they would have been had the crowd been into the action that they had. The closing sequence of this match kind of proves my theory to me, because Sheamus and Ryback were busting ass inside of there to try to drag that crowd kicking and screaming into the contest. Sheamus' spot with his little necklace was genius. I loved that, and I completely thought that pod was malfunctioning, so I got to give them credit for that, because that made Sheamus look really smart, because the way that the guys in the ring played it off too, because they kind of stood around a little confused when Sheamus' pod malfunctioned, and they were curious as to what had happened there, so I definitely give them credit for the way that they played that off. But as far as Ryback as champion, I think the one thing that I said to Jimmy while we were watching the show is, so wait, does that make Bray Wyatt the number one contender for the Intercontinental title?
Ooh.
I feel like no, but that is an interesting theory.
Well, here's the thing. Wyatt wasn't announced for Money in the Bank, and Ryback as the champion's probably not going to be in the Money in the Bank ladder match either, so you got to figure that they're going to have their next one-on-one singles match at Money in the Bank there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. I can see that as well. Paul, any thoughts on this?
I was sort of with Patrick. I thought this match was mostly boring up till the finish. I have no problem with Ryback getting the belt. I'm a big fan of his. Although even though Sheamus was the obvious choice, I think he was the better choice long term as far as storytelling goes. I thought him and Neville would have had a dynamite feud over the title, which is where I thought this was going, but they go with Ryback. I don't know where you go from here. If it is Bray Wyatt, I hope they use that feud to establish Ryback, because I'm still of the belief that Bray Wyatt doesn't really need titles to get over so long as the storytelling for him is good. But when it comes to Money in the Bank, I really hope he makes that ladder match, because him kind of holding the Money in the Bank briefcase over whoever the champion is, I think could lead to a lot of fun stuff.
Can I chime in with one other thing here?
Sure.
Just something that I forgot to mention during the course of what I was saying about the match itself is that I think they had to kind of change the booking of this match on the fly a little bit, because I honestly believe Rusev was planned to win this match.
I could definitely see that.
That's actually an interesting thought. I wasn't sure about that. That may be why Ryback won it, and why this match was kind of not as good as people would have thought.
Mm-hmm. Sean, do you kind of agree with that or disagree with Rusev? Could have been that guy.
I would have thought Dolph
step.
and Rusev would have taken each other out of the match. Honestly, I think that's what they were going to try to aim for. I don't know that Lana would have gotten involved, but who knows? I think I like the direction there. I think it would have been really stupid to you basically have Rusev lose so many times, and then now he has the IC title. Well, thanks for ruining the IC title for me. That's how I would feel about it. I'm sorry, Rusev is nothing to me right now. That's the way they booked him, so I don't care.
Even though he only lost to one guy.
He lost to one guy, and who cares about him right now?
I do.
Hey,
Sean,
the general public doesn't.
Yeah.
Sean, he not only lost, he lost his country, his girl, his star. He lost everything with these. So yeah,
exactly.
No one really cares about him.
Yeah. So getting back to my point, I think Ryback was a surprise to me because the poor guy is wrestling with some freaking broke ribs. I feel bad for him every time I have to watch him wrestle, because walking is hard, let alone wrestling with that.
Which means that more than likely this is just a quick thing, and creative is probably scrambling right now trying to figure out who can we get to hold the IC title for an extended period of time.
Well, we don't exactly.
They don't scramble for anything.
We know that. Well, we don't exactly know anything because there was nothing mentioned outside of Ryback's injury, aside from Payback. Like, that was the only thing that was mentioned. Nobody made no ifs, ands, or buts, just describing how long, till he'll be fully healed. Nobody made any questions or asked any such a thing.
I think it's Ryback probably feels like he can deal with it, or he would not have been given the title right now. So, I'm really happy for the guy. He deserves it. He's worked the hard way to get there. He had that point where he probably should have won the title against CM Punk. He didn't. That did not keep him down. He's been through a lot of stuff, and I hope that he gets to do something with this, and it's not a transitional thing. It's possible it is, but he deserves to have a title reign that lasts for a little bit, and that he gets to do something with it and that pushes him into something else, because I really think this guy has, in a way, overachieved with what he's given and the way that he's been really put down after that time where he just, with Punk and everything, and most guys, that would have been it. But Ryback's kept going, and, props to him for that.
For sure. All right, guys, let's move on to the last match on the card here, and this is for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, and that is, of course, between Seth Rollins, who is the champion himself, versus Dean Ambrose. I want to know what you guys think about this because, once again, we had lots of different matches on this card that could have been main evented. We always know that the title usually main events, and once again, it did. Give me your thoughts on this match, and hey, if you want to chime in on if you thought it should have main evented or do you think another match could have done it, let me know that too. But hey, we'll start with you, Chris. What did you think?
Oh, this match is awesome. When you have Death or Dean and Seth in the ring, they always deliver a match of your candidate. The finish, well, I'll go back to whether or not it should have main evented. Yes, it should have main evented because it was a title match. There was no match in this show bigger than this match, so it was the right choice for it to main event. Yeah, there's on some occasions, there's some stuff that should main event over the title, like Rocket Cena at 28 did. In retrospect, Hogan and Rock should have, but yeah, this was the right choice to main event. The finish was absolutely stupid. Made no sense or any kind of logic to me whatsoever. It didn't. That the fact that this referee is, again, I hate to break this PG rule, that this referee is pretty much a pussy. If it had been like Mike Chioda or Charlie Robinson, they would not have called for DQ because somebody just pushed them into them.
Well, not only that, I mean, how many times have you seen a match that has ended just like that, where a referee gets knocked out by something, and a new ref comes in and counts the 1, 2, 3 on someone, and they just keep it? It's very simple. This is the first time I think I've ever seen that outcome where, the old ref is gonna say, "Oh no, we're retroactively taking this back."
Okay, like I said, the referee's a pussy. He got a little bruise, and he's like, well, screw you. This is what's gonna happen. It's my way or the highway.
It's not like what's his name? The ref that got taken out in the cell got hit.
Tim White.
Yeah,
Tim
White.
White,
Thank you. Yeah, this guy is a pussy. I mean, Tim White got nailed into the cell, got a dislocated shoulder, and the match still went on.
You know, if they like said like the authority was behind it, or they had some kind of way of screwing it, it would have made that. It would still been a terrible finish, like a fuck finish, but it still would have made sense that the authority was the one that screwed him, not this random referee who just said, "Oh, it's a DQ."
But I feel like the implication now is going to be that it was the authority that told that ref, because he did kind of go down onto the floor to talk to the other ref, and it seemed like the authority basically, talked to him and told him to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good thought process. It's a good theory. Harry, what did you think?
I thought the match was really good. I mean, I called the Dusty finish as soon as the 3 count for Ambrose went down, but I thought the match was really good, and it looks like they're probably going to do another rematch here at Money in the Bank. So I think that we have a good match to look forward to for that pay-per-view as well.
Patrick, do you kind of mirror that, or what do you think?
Cancel the WWE Network. Ambrose was screwed. Okay, maybe not, but I mean, it's like, yeah, I pretty much mirror what Harry said, because I saw, okay, ref gets taken out, and I don't even think I gave it until the 3 count. I just said, okay, that's going to play into it. Once I saw the 3 count happen, though, in my head I was like, wait for it, and sure enough, boom. In terms of a retroactive changed finish, though, the funny thing is that he mentioned earlier, how often does that happen? That is the second time that I have seen that happen this year. One was for a title match for a different company. But yeah, as far as the actual match goes, they used to make such good chemistry together, and hopefully, it'll give us the rematch at Money in the Bank. I kind of have a hunch. I already know where we're gonna be heading, but I'm not gonna say. But I have a hunch that we're gonna end. It's going to end at SummerSlam, and it's going to end in a fitting fashion, I think, is the way it's going to be.
Isn't it kind of sad that as fans, we're conditioned to think that the screw job was happening? That's kind of sad that we've gotten to this point where...
As soon as I saw that second ref come out, I was thinking... once the 3 count happened, and Dean Ambrose was declared the winner, I thought right away, I was thinking something different. I was thinking that, Triple H was going to come out and, basically rip the other ref a new one saying, "What are you doing? Why are you coming out and helping him?" and like basically fire his ass and then, declare Rollins the winner because for whatever reason, figure out some way.
I in my head had Triple H is going to come out and restart the match.
Yeah, so was I. Or do something to give Rollins the title again.
For sure. Now, Glenn, were you okay with the way it did end, or do you wish that they would have done something different?
Yeah. To be honest, the only the part that I thought something was getting kind of fishy was when the ref was conferring with the ref that got taken out was conferring with the second ref. But also, I think another thing in hindsight, what kind of tipped me off that doesn't seem right was the fact that the second ref that came in, he counted 1, 2, 3. I mean, normally if you have something like that, it's going to be 1, 2, kick out, like just kind of the delayed run to the ring, similar to any Charles Robinson run-in involving WrestleMania and a ref bump.
Mm-hmm.
But to be honest, before the screw job even actually happened, I actually kind of teared up a bit. I'm not going to be ashamed to say it, but I was really happy for Dean Ambrose, just like well deserved. Never really had to do anything ridiculously heelish, and I say that very loosely because I mean he's basically the facish heel, or the heelish face.
He's the tween. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, he's walking that thin line between heel and face, but he does it and he makes it look cool. That's all that really matters. He makes it look cool.
For sure. Now,
I mean,
Brandon,
yeah.
do you have any final comments about it?
Yeah, well, just in terms of the match in general, I love the way the match was. The match was great up until the end. The end, I saw the screw job type thing coming as soon as the first ref got knocked down. But I will say the one saving grace of this match was the end, where Roman Reigns comes out, knocks out everyone, and Dean Ambrose still has the physical title in his hands. I hope that they keep this going, where Ambrose holds on to the title and forces Renee Young or whoever is doing ring announcements to call him the world heavyweight champion and everything, and really, build that up of him still holding the title throughout this time until the next pay-per-view.
I like to think that Dean makes Renee call him the world champion when they're together.
I was hoping somebody would go that way.
They should put that on the network. Moving on to Paul, do you think that this worked out pretty well in the end? And if it goes by what Brandon was saying, where Ambrose does hold his title for a while, do you think R-Truth should be the guy to help him, teach him how to do it?
Oh, Gary, R-Truth is nothing, and you know it.
Hey, you're talking about a former NWA champion.
Yeah, but he has experience.
Sean, can we use his mic, please?
I have a little
I can
bit
do it, but
come on, guys. You like the comments. But Paul, give your thoughts.
Anyway, Ambrose and Rollins to me is a match of the year candidate. I think it's a picture perfect way of having a wrestling war without any stipulation. There's back and forth. They beat the crap out of each other. Whether you like the finish or not, I still think it was fairly okay. And ends in a way that I wanted to see it, with Ambrose. Even though he's not the champion, he's got the belt. It makes you want to watch Raw tomorrow. This match, this whole situation is just such an Attitude Era thing. Like, Ambrose is obviously casting the Austin role, and Roman Reigns is The Rock, and Rollins is Triple H, but it's like an alt universe where, hey, they were friends first, and now they're sort of doing this whole dance around each other. And it's really fun, and it's really neat, and I can't get enough of this. I loved this match so much. It was my favorite.
I agree with what
even
you
more
said.
than Kevin Owens and John Cena.
I agree with what you're saying about the Attitude Era thing, but the one thing I don't like about it nowadays as compared to how it was back then is now it feels like the Authority has such a stranglehold over everything. You always have this sense of something's going to happen to screw over whoever is going after the title, whereas back in the Attitude Era, yes, Mr. McMahon was pulling the strings to an extent, but
to an extent, he was pulling the strings.
He was, but at the same time, Steve Austin always had that chance. You always knew that Austin could pull out a victory somehow. Whereas now it feels like, oh, there's no chance in hell that anyone is gonna win other than the Authority's favorite guy.
All right.
Well, that's because Vince, as the Authority figure, was able to let people get one over on him. Vince is a much better heel in that sense.
First things first, Seth Rollins is 2 months into his title reign. He's not dropping it this soon. Secondly, there's some rose-tinted glasses going on there, because if you go back and watch anything from the Attitude Era, the corporation are just all over the championship every chance.
Oh, they are.
Get.
Oh, they are. I know that, but
I think
Austin always found a way to actually at least have a chance.
To be honest, I know you're kind of drawing the correlation to being more along the lines of Austin and McMahon. I think this is more or less along the lines of Foley, like right after he got screwed at Survivor Series, like just kind of him getting rejected by the corporation to challenge The Rock for the title, and then he actually wins the title, and then he gets it over Royal Rumble, and then he wins it back in the empty arena match. I think that's kind of the more correlate. That's the more of a correlation that I see.
Yeah, that's actually a good point.
All right, Sean. Well, wrap us up here. What were your thoughts?
The match was great. I really liked it. I know there were people that were upset that they were wrestling at the beginning. Why not? Their crap is over. With the stuff with the Shield is old, and Ambrose was just playing with Rollins to get the match. He's not like totally just hating Rollins or whatever. They're there to have a match. They know each other. It's whatever it is. I love the slow build up. They also had a lot of time that they needed to kill, so that also was part of the reason why they would kind of lay out on the floor sometimes. And
it was a half-hour match. That was pretty.
Yeah, I mean they did a really great. I thought it was just really well done. Everything was. They didn't have over interference, which was even better. The finish, I think, was. I didn't like it from the fact that was brought up earlier. It doesn't make sense. And I know we're talking about WWE and that they never make sense and whatever, but there needs to be some kind of understanding that we are not stupid. And we have seen millions and millions of matches where the referee gets knocked out and the other referee comes and he is then taking jurisdiction over this match and it's over. And then he gets the title, and it's whatever. I just wish they would have found another way to do this that wasn't such a stupid finish that doesn't make any sense and can completely be taken apart like that. There's millions of other finishes they could have done that weren't that dumb.
Yeah.
But that being said, it works for Rollins. It's the total, like, what a fucking asshole. I can't stand him. I can't stand the Authority. Now you feel sympathy for Ambrose. You really want to cheer for him. Hopefully this does something. Hopefully we don't get any more freaking stupid dead crowds when Ambrose was having his moment in the main event instead of people just chanting for Ambrose but then completely just shitting on it when you get to the moment when he's there. It doesn't, my only problem with this whole bringing back the Attitude Era crap with Ambrose is that I think people are seeing through this. and they're not buying it because we've already seen it. And WWE is not doing a great job when it comes to delivering it on Raw. They might have delivered it on here, but I want to see what happens going forward. If we get more of the crap that happened on the Raw previous, I don't want to see it. Please just don't do Attitude Era stuff because you're doing it terribly. If you're going to do more of what happened at this pay-per-view, then go ahead. But it's all about how you write it, and please don't insult us when you're doing it because we've seen this before. We're not dumb, and we remember it. And most people remember the Attitude Era stuff. It's not, gone away.
Take a step further. Just make it be like any NXT takeover special going forward. Just like the way that it gets written, write it like the way that you set up the takeover specials and for each takeover match.
I think that's the best thing we could pray for and hope for, but it's two different worlds. So I just don't know if we'll ever get that lucky to have that happen unless we get some changes going on the Raw side and, of course, the main roster side. So, well, you know what? This is the time where we want to rate and, kind of give our final thoughts on the show overall. And you know what? Since, we do have a certain guy who wanted to mute me on the show, I'll be nice even though he wanted to mute me. And I want to give Harry Broadhurst a chance to do what he likes to do best. I'm going to let you close this thing out, the pay-per-view part at least, with your final reaction of the Elimination Chamber.
You see, I really wish I'd had something of a heads up for that because I'd have had the soundbite ready to go.
Oh, man. Gosh darn it.
All right. Chris, are you still there?
I think Chris is gone again from us right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Glenn, are you still there?
Yes, I am, good sir.
All right. What was your favorite moment from tonight's pay-per-view?
I got the female shocked Undertaker guy when Kevin Owens did that second pop-up powerbomb and got the pin 1, 2, 3 cleanly.
What was your least favorite moment from tonight's pay-per-view?
My bathroom break match, a.k.a. the Divas title.
On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give tonight's show?
Factoring a minus point five for the Divas match, I'd say this is just my personal scale. I'd say 9, just because we haven't seen a good pay-per-view that was like that, and it made it given the 2-week time span. I know we were kind of crapping on it, just kind of the build for it, but I think it did turn out well.
And who is your MVP for Elimination Chamber 2015?
Co-MVPs for me, Cena and Owens.
Thank you very much.
Not a problem.
Brandon.
Yep.
Favorite moment from tonight's show?
I'll have to say Kevin Owens winning over Cena.
Least favorite moment?
I'll agree with Glenn. Divas matches, or a toss up between the Divas match and the really lame ass second Elimination Chamber match, which could have been done way better.
Overall score?
I'll give it an 8.5. I mean, there were certainly some good moments, but definitely a couple of matches that left something to be desired. But
Your MVP
good overall for the time frame that they had to get put together.
Your MVP, sorry.
MVP, I'll go co-MVP Kevin Owens and Dean Ambrose.
Thank you very much. I'm really surprised you didn't yell "botch" at me there, Gary.
It's okay. I'm being nice right now.
Patrick.
Patrick?
Oh, Mr. Ketza.
He's showing he's there, but
Oh, cats.
he didn't tell me he stepped away or anything. So
Yeah, maybe he's in a bathroom.
Come out, wherever you are. All right, very well. Paul,
Let's do it, buddy.
favorite moment,
Kevin Owens going over clean.
least favorite moment.
The first 5 minutes of the IC title chamber was pretty much a lawn dart of boring to the face.
Ooh. Ugh.
Especially sad when you consider that Dolph Ziggler was one of the two participants there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Overall show score.
Solid 8, 2 match of the year candidates, some other stuff that was kind of could leave or take or leave, and a very solid opener.
Show MVP.
I'm giving it to Dean Ambrose solo. I loved that main event so much.
Is Patrick back?
I don't know. He's not telling me anything. So
I'll yell at him on Facebook. Hey, Sean,
yeah,
your favorite moment from tonight's show?
Kevin Owens.
This is becoming a recurring theme. Your least favorite moment?
I have to agree with Paul. That first 5 minutes of that IC chamber was mind-numbing.
Overall show score.
8. You got 2 great matches. Match of the years has been noted. You have a pretty good tag title chamber. You have an IC title change. And the other stuff was decent, So if the IC title chamber match had delivered, I think we're ranking it a lot higher.
You'll notice that reflected in my rating here coming up in a little bit here. Who's your MVP?
Man, I think I'm gonna give it to Kevin Owens and John Cena together. I think they put on an incredible match. Kevin Owens shown like a huge star. Booker T gave him the total putting him over stuff when they did the panel segment, which was terrific. And John Cena, again, Chris said it. I mean, this guy, people want to hate on him. Fonte wants to loathe him every time we mention a comment with him in the Facebook group. But, dude, that guy holds his end of the bargain, and maybe he isn't the cleanest wrestler. He has his little botches here and there, but the guy delivers. He does what he's supposed to do. I don't want to hear anybody go, oh, John Cena just buries people, because that was far from what happened here.
Here.
Chris, is Chris back?
No, I don't think so.
No.
I'm guessing Chris probably is done for the night. I'm assuming Patrick isn't saying anything still.
Nope.
Because, God forbid, more than one member of Wrestling Unwrapped actually contribute. Gary.
Yes, sir.
What was your favorite moment from tonight's show?
I'd have to say Cena and Owens, great match.
Your least favorite moment?
I'm going to go with Divas.
Woohoo!
Your overall show score?
Believe it or not, and you guys will probably fall out of your chair, I'm going 8. Was thinking about 7.5, but for a lot of the reasons which Sean pointed out already, both chamber matches were not bad. You could say the first 5 minutes the other one was, but, it got better. We did have an IC title change, a good change of pace with Ryback. Then, of course, you had 2 really good matches, the main event, and I think that, of course, Kevin Owens and Cena was too good to rank lower.
Your show MVP?
I'm just going to go Kevin Owens overall. Did a great job handling, that big of a crowd. Did a great job of, handling business the way he did. Looked like a true veteran. He's not, a guy that's used to being in front of crowds like that. I mean, I'm sure he's been around in some huge crowds, but I just know the WWE Universe, it's a big stage, and I think he handled it really well.
All right. My favorite moment from tonight's episode, from tonight's pay-per-view, so used to saying tonight's episode of Raw when I do my rant on this on Mondays. My favorite moment from tonight's pay-per-view is obviously going to be the finish for Kevin Owens and John Cena. I also popped like a sumbitch for the teasing of the package pile driver, and I really hope that one of these days they actually let him use that move, even though I know they have a kind of a no pile driver thing going on right now. Mm-hmm. I cannot speak for anything. This is what happens when I'm falling asleep over here. My least favorite moment was the Divas match in general. As I said when you guys asked me about it earlier on in the show, that match was garbage. And I actually feel worse having watched it than I would have had I taken that opportunity to go use the restroom like most of the rest of you did. My overall show score is a 7.5, and the reason I give it a 7.5 is because I really liked Owens and Cena. I really liked the main event. I liked the tag title chamber match, but I didn't love it. I liked the Intercontinental title chamber match, but I didn't love it. I did enjoy Bo Dallas and Neville, and as I said, the Divas match drags it down almost a full point.
Oh, wow, yeah. I agree.
And then...
I wasn't even really counting that in my ranking, really.
My show MVP is the designer for Mrs. Moo Moo on the pre-show, but in all seriousness... my actual show MVP is going to be John Cena. Because without Cena being there to give Owens the performance that Owens had, there is no way that Owens makes his star as bright as he does tonight at Elimination Chamber. Patrick, did you ever return?
I would have told you, no.
Yeah, he's still hanging out, so... I guess that wraps it up for Elimination Chamber. Thank you so much, Harry, for doing the final reaction for Elimination Chamber for us. Let's go ahead and do a few plugs for a few guys. We'll go ahead and start with Mr. Brandon Bisping, right?
Bisco Bing,
okay. You write for Page 2. Give me your all the stuff that you do for Page 2.
My primary thing I write for the MLB side. Primarily write for the Yankees stuff.
Boo!
Oh God!
I agree with that.
What are you a fan of?
I'm a Braves fan, personally.
What?
I'm a Braves fan, personally.
Oh, okay.
I'm from the good 314, so I'm the STL Cardinals all the way, baby.
Okay, then. But yeah, so I do that, and I write a few other blogs.
Oh, what are the name of the blogs, just so people know where to find you?
The other one I write for is Gotham Sportsnet, which is a New York-centric blog. I also do Yankees stuff for them as well.
How old are you, dude?
23.
Holy crap! You sound a whole lot younger than that.
Really?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. You sound like you're like 17 or 18. Don't take that as a knock.
17. Yeah, it's always good. Hey, I'm older now, and any chance someone gives me a compliment of being younger, I'm on it. So, anyway, well, I mean, we thank you so much, Brandon, for being on the show with us, and make sure everybody go check him out on Page 2 Sports. And Glenn, man, you have your own podcast. We want to go ahead and plug that real quick.
Yes, and I actually want to do something before I actually plug it. I want to send a big shout out to Sean because he actually helped me out in getting my podcast to Stitcher Radio. We are no longer Spreaker exclusive. We are on Stitcher now.
Awesome.
And
welcome.
It's the GS WrestleCast, and big news on the front involving the GS WrestleCast. I want to also kind of the news on here. Sean knows the news. Not sure if anybody else knows it, but I am going to be able. I'm getting a sit-down one-on-one interview with the very famous, very historic, and one of the greatest NWA champions of all time, Harley Race. Yes, you heard me. The Harley Race. I'm hoping to get this interview done with him by the middle of June, and it should possibly be a 2, maybe 3-parter episode. And so I just kind of want to let everybody know that's what's going to be coming from me on the GS WrestleCast. Listen it to on Spreaker, listen to it on Stitcher. Eventually, I'm going to get me the podcast onto iTunes, and then I'll have my bases covering on the podcast front.
Oh man, well that is so exciting. That is great news. We are excited for you, man, and we definitely will let people know when you get a chance to let that come out. We'll put it on our Facebook page and get the word out because we're excited about that. We can't wait to hear that interview. Thank you once again. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
I can't fill the interview as well.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool. I know a bit. I would be excited as man. That's really good stuff.
Yeah, I'm hoping to where I'm doing this. Most likely is actually going to be as wrestling school. So hopefully talk about him training one of somebody that's currently on WXT, Simon Gotcha, the Vaudevillains.
Oh wow, that is so cool. Oh man, well we can't wait to hear that interview, and definitely once again let us know when you actually get that interview and get your show going. But everybody, go listen to the GS WrestleCast. That is going to be a great show, and of course he's going to have plenty of other good ones to listen to. And don't forget, you've all got to go check out Brandon Bisco because he has a lot of great stuff on Page 2 Sports to go read. So thank you both for joining us, and we will talk to you guys soon.
Yeah, have a very nice evening, gentlemen, and I hope to catch you in a couple of weeks right after Money in the Bank.
Awesome. Talk to you guys later.
I'll be able to. I can join you guys whenever you need someone.
For sure, man. We'll be keeping in contact.
You again on Thursday, man.
Yeah, I'll be on Thursday more than likely.
All right, man.
See ya.
Later, guys. All right. Well, Harry, I know you're tired, but I want to get your input. Can you stay on just for a few more minutes with us?
Yeah, I can do the discussion about Destination America.
Okay. Well, we won't keep you on too much longer. I know you got to get some sleep. Let's go ahead and jump into this real quick, guys. This is some big news that we didn't get a chance to talk about on the show because of the fact that it came out right after we did our podcast. So we're going to do it now, and we're lucky enough to have Harry Broadhurst on here with us to kind of break this thing down. Destination America wants to have some more wrestling on their network, apparently, because they added ROH to their channel or to their network, and they are going to put it right before TNA Impact Wrestling. Now, we had just discussed TNA Impact not getting renewed. Now ROH all of a sudden appears on their network. I want to know, really, Harry, what is going on here, and what are your thoughts on this? Because it's so interesting. They're considering getting rid of one wrestling product, but they're adding another one.
I would imagine that they're probably under the hopes that having a indie darling like Ring of Honor as their secondary promotion will get the fan base that maybe might not stick around to watch TNA onto the Destination America to watch Ring of Honor, and then if they see that TNA immediately follows them, they might stick around for TNA as well, because there are a bunch of former Ring of Honor stars on TNA as well. What I also would expect is I would expect a lot of cross-promotion between the two companies now, given the fact that they're going to be on the same television channel. The only other thing that I'm going to question about this, though, is this going to be the same ROH program that airs weekly on Sinclair Broadcasting?
Yes,
or
it is.
Going to be
in
different?
fact, it will air on Sinclair first. So, basically the show that's going to air on Wednesday already aired. So if you watch it normally on Sinclair or RH Ringside or whatever, you can watch it there and not watch on Destination America.
Well, then, isn't ROH going to be worried that that's going to affect their bottom line with the people that subscribe to their Ringside collection?
Yeah, I'm canceling it, because there's no point in me having it if I can watch on Destination America for free. That's $8 I don't need to spend.
So I got to think that if the ratings aren't there to justify it, then ROH is going to walk away from this deal quicker than Destination America could cancel.
Oh, they can't. They're locked in till December, so I'm sure that they're at least stuck with this till December.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but TNA probably thought the same thing too, and they're already getting the rumors of cancellation.
Yeah, but that's Destination America canceling them. That's not TNA saying, okay, we're going somewhere else.
Do you guys think that this is going to have any kind of effect on TNA's ratings, having another wrestling promotion in front of them, or do you think this is going to just kind of be status quo for TNA?
I don't see this helping TNA a lot. In fact, I'm really questioning Destination America's motives here. Like, are they signing Ring of Honor? When they signed Ring of Honor, is that why they canceled TNA? Is it something like that? Because I'm assuming they can get Ring of Honor for cheaper and a lot less investment. Because obviously they're not going to be the guys footing the bill. They're just giving them the platform to show their television show on now, to a more national audience than what Sinclair offers. So there's that in there. I also wonder if Destination America is thinking that they'll be able to mold Ring of Honor more, because I don't know if TNA... well, obviously Dixie and TNA, I think, have sort of shown how they're acting recently isn't something that Destination America wants to touch. Ring of Honor is known to be pretty good to work with for the most part, as far as I've been made aware, so there's all that too. I just don't know how this sort of goes about happening, you know?
Mm-hmm. I think TNA is hopeful that ROH is going to give them a launching pad into their show. I really think that. I think that I've heard it from few talents, Matt Hardy being one of them, who seems to say, "Oh, this is awesome. This is a great partnership," and they're pretending this is a partnership, not a hindrance to them. They're pretending like it's going to be something that moves people into hour two of wrestling. It's not separate entities almost, and so. I don't know. I have my worries a little bit. I think TNA, if they do anything goofy, the people who just watched ROH are going to say, okay, this is goofy. I'm turning my TV off now.
I think TNA will get an initial spike from Ring of Honor debuting on the 3rd of June here, but I honestly don't think it's going to be anything long-term lasting, and I still think TNA is gone come September.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And this whole thing is interesting too, Harry, because what they just did. TNA had just signed Bram. They just signed the Wolves. I mean, and this is post news of them possibly being let go or canceled from, Destination America. What is their thought process on this? Is this just pretending nothing's happening? Is this just going on with daily business?
That is the Dixie Carter way.
But why, if you're Bram, if you're the Wolves, why are you signing on not knowing the future of the promotion?
Well, the obvious answer for that for the Wolves is because Davey Richards has burned every single other bridge that he's had in professional wrestling. As far as Bram goes, I mean, I understand that Kenneth had the issues that he had with the whole DUI thing, which got him released from his WWE deal. But at the same time, given his work in TNA there and the fact that he has been a model employee for the company there, I wouldn't be surprised if the WWE were to give him another shot. So I don't know why he would lock himself up into a contract that may or may not come to fruition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very true. I mean, and Sean, you mentioned that Hulu or somebody else could be a contributor here, and finding what get TNA on board. And if that happens, I guess these talents feel safer, but that's no guarantee. And if I'm a talent, I kind of worry about that because I don't want to be put in a place where I'm not making money and I'm stuck in a contract.
Okay, for one, we need to discuss what this is. For one, ROH is not, or Destination America is really not paying that much for ROH. They're getting a show that's already taped and done. They're just basically airing it. So TNA is costing them a lot of money. ROH is costing them pretty much nothing. So they're getting ROH in the hopes that, okay, I don't think that there was. I think this ROH deal was done, and then somebody had the bright idea of, hey, let's just put TNA on Wednesdays and have ROH be in front of it and see what happens. I really do think that they have ROH set to replace TNA, and I would not be surprised if GFW comes along and fills the other spot at some point, because I don't know that Sinclair is going to be totally okay with giving ROH an extra hour. So unless they just let Destination America have the second hour, or the stuff that airs on Sinclair becomes a best of or something eventually, or whatever. I don't know how that's going to work. But ROH is playing or TNA is playing games. They're not happy about this deal. MVP, the way he reacted, that's how a lot of those guys are reacting. Matt Hardy and all of them are being nice on social media because they don't want to look like children to Destination America. Okay, they're trying to get rehired on that network. They're trying to get do what?
Well, I was going to say not only that, Sean, but also you got to factor in that they're probably trying not to come off as like petulant children to other promoters and stuff too.
Well, yeah, I'm sure that's what it is. They don't. I mean, I think there was Meltzer said he was talking to somebody that was gonna pick them up before Destination America, and after all the crap that's happened with them, they were like, "Who would want to work with these people?" And that's exactly how I feel. Who would want to work with people that cannot even tell your entire your wrestlers in a conference call, hey, this is what's going on? Why? Because Destination America can't stand TNA that bad that they couldn't let them know that this deal was going on. I just think that because apparently the reports say that Spike didn't had to ask Vince in order to have Ultimate Fighter. And Vince said okay, and then, Ultimate Fighter became what it became or whatever. But Dixie didn't know. Dixie was told, I think, but she acted like she didn't know anything. And maybe she didn't know anything, but that should tell you a lot about the fact that you already have a wrestling promotion that gets 2 hours on your channel, and when it comes down to it, they don't know about them coming and getting a rival promotion. We're talking about a rival. We're not talking about. There's going to be no invasion angle that's going to happen here. Just so people, those TNA diehards that think that ROH and TNA are going to have a talent swap and all this stuff. No, they're not. You think New Japan's going to come over there and go, yeah, we really want to be on a channel where now all of a sudden TNA is on ROH? No, it's not going to happen. So, and not to mention these New Japan shows are going to be the first shows that are going to air on Destination America, so this is going to be fun to see how this gets received. But yeah, I just think that this is bad for TNA. The only thing that's good about it for TNA is that maybe Destination America winds up liking the fact that they have a 3-hour wrestling block on Wednesdays and it gets them to stay on. But that's the only thing. If TNA's ratings don't go up, they're gone. Mm-hmm. And I think Sinclair set themselves up to the point where if ROH doesn't do well, who cares?
Yeah, and another thing, too, is if ROH doesn't do well on Destination America, they still have the Nesson deal to fall back on, too. So it's not like they're not getting paid to put this show on other channels as it is anyway.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's true. It's very true.
And as far as what Sean said about TNA and people not understanding what Dixie was getting into, let's make one thing perfectly clear here, and pardon my language here, but Dixie Carter is a fucking moron. The thing about it is TNA probably should have been dead at least twice already, and the only thing that kept TNA alive was the fact that they were able to score these last-minute TV deals, but the TV deals that they have done, that they've scored, have done nothing but sabotage the promotion. Nobody's going to want to work for a promotion whose television future is in serious question. Nobody's going to want to work for a promotion whose owner is not going to tell them what's going on behind the scenes. And just as importantly, why would people want to come to a promotion like TNA that has basically no alternative connections now, when they could go to Ring of Honor and work for New Japan, or they could go to GFW and work for New Japan and Ring of Honor and AAA?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'd agree. I agree for sure. And this whole thing is so interesting to me because of the talent. And, Sean had mentioned MVP's reaction. I loved MVP's reaction. It was hilarious. All capital letters, promoters. I'm sorry. It was just too funny. But,
Oh, yeah, and then he was, giving his number out so he could take bookings and stuff because he was so mad.
He gave out his booking email.
I love it. And there's so many aspects of this. Not only the guys on the outside looking in at TNA, the guys in TNA looking out and saying, "Oh God, how can I jump ship and whose ship can I jump to?" So there's a lot of things going on, and I have a sad feeling. I'm with Harry on this that it's almost a done deal. They're done. They're completely done.
I mean, let's be honest. We don't want them to die.
No.
we want them to be able to go on, and how cool is it if they do go on and you can be like, okay, now there's a 4-way war going on, like, wrestling. Whoever thought we would have wrestling Wednesdays? Like, out of all the days of the week, Wednesday.
Yeah.
My official stance as far as whether TNA survives or not is this. I feel for the employees of the company. I feel for the guys and the girls in that promotion who deserve better. I'm referring to people like an Austin Aries, like an Eric Young, like a Bram, like a Magnus, a Gail Kim, or a Taryn Terrell. People that have been busting their ass and actually trying to make things matter in that company for the better part of the last couple years, but have had their futures thrown into question because their promoter has no idea how to do business.
I agree. Guys that are top tier talent like Rockstar Spud deserve to go to. So I do love Rockstar Spud, but EC3 is a big free agent.
I like Rockstar Spud too, but when I think of the first name that comes to my head is EC3.
Yeah, I know. I had to throw somebody else.
I think EC3 ends up back in the WWE, honestly.
Really? That's wow. Do you think that whoever let him go, whoever just made those decisions, is either out of the company or maybe they'll have a revision of what he's done?
Well, here's the thing. When he was in the WWE as Derek Bateman, he was never really given any opportunities. He took the Ethan Carter III gimmick and ran with it and made it probably the most entertaining thing on TNA television.
That is true. If I was WWE, I'd let him keep his name just so I can poke fun at the Carter name. Just saying.
You know what's going to end up happening here? We're going to end up hearing about this in a couple of months, that the WWE has bought in TNA's video library and a couple of the contracts for $2.6 million. If only to stick it to Ted Turner one last time by paying $100,000 more than he did for the WCW.
Oh, man, even though...
Do you think... I'm not the only one. I've heard other people talk about... Do you think GFW winds up getting a Destination America deal or something?
I think it'll depend on rather Jeff Jarrett's paying attention to how Destination America's treated TNA so far.
Yep.
Because I think Jeff Jarrett's going to want to go to a network that actually gives a crap about a company that it's bringing in to be its starter, whereas Destination America, while they originally stated that they cared about TNA, they almost never mentioned them in the replays. It's kind of another ECW on TNN situation. Destination America never promotes TNA.
I don't know about that. They promote them on their channel. They even give away results of their next show because they want to promote them so bad.
That's another thing, too. They really need to change those on the next episode things that they do on the episodes of Impact there. Why are people going to watch your main events if you already know who wins?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense at all. I think, they gave them a lot of shows at the beginning. And they weren't doing all that great. They had like 2 replays that one after the other. I mean, I don't know what else you want them to do.
Is it entirely possible that Destination America's expectations were too high in the beginning, and then once TNA didn't reach them, they immediately soured on the product?
That's what it seems like.
I think that's very possible. I think they wanted same numbers Spike was getting, and there was just no way I think that was ever going to happen.
Well, not when Destination America reaches maybe 40% of the network, the houses that Spike does.
Yeah, I think they only do like 50 million homes or something like that, which is double or whatever, like at least double less than whatever Spike did. And not to mention, like on every cable tier, I'm repeating myself through somebody, that you have to pay for I had to pay for basically the tier right before you get to the movie channels to be able to have Destination America. Like, and that's for a lot of cable companies. It's not just Comcast. So, I mean, think about it. That's really bad. Like, I mean, El Rey I can kind of understand because they're a really small channel, and so is Destination America. But Destination America's grouped in with Discovery, who has got all these other channels, And you would think that they would find a way to get them on a lower tier so you don't have to pay so much money to find them. And when you do, somebody's going to be like, well, I don't want to pay all that money to to just get this one channel for TNA. Now that's a thing. Now if you have both TNA and ROH and somebody doesn't want to pay for, ROH isn't available in a lot of the Northeast. And if you don't want to pay for ringside, but say you want to watch ROH and you go, well, TNA's on there too, let me go ahead and pay the $7 or $8 or $9 or $10 to get this next tier in my cable. Or it's even easier to find on the internet. And there you go. Just lots of possibilities that could happen here. Mm-hmm. That might be positive for TNA, but I think it's going to be more positive for ROH than TNA. Really.
I agree, and I think when you talk about paying for either channel, I mean, I think Destination America is worth it for ROH. TNA, would be a plus, but I mean, honestly, if you're asking me to pay for a channel, I would pay for El Rey before, not only for Lucha Underground, but because Chris Limsky's on the channel, so.
You had a thought, Harry?
Harry?
Sorry, I was chewing.
Oh, it's okay.
My thing about it is here, I think the creation of sites like Watch Wrestling actually hurt a company like a Ring of Honor, because they were taking away from the subscribers that Ringside might have gotten, because they were putting that Ring of Honor television show up for free, much like a site like a YouTube or a Daily Motion would be by doing the same thing there. So you have to worry about how many of these people are still going to watch this show through the sources that they've already gotten used to, like a Watch Wrestling or like a Daily Motion or like a YouTube.
Mm-hmm. That's very true. And I think there's a big audience that do that and watch it get through other sources. And, it's understandable because it's not easy to get. And unless your cable provider has it, you've got no other choice. So,
I mean, I would think that ROH is getting enough money from Destination America that they understand how that's going to work. And they must have imagined that they must not be getting that much from the ROH ringside, that whatever Destination America is giving them is well worth it. And, like for me, that now ROH ringside becomes basically a glorified on-demand service for their old shows. And even though they're interesting and I want to be able to watch them and stuff, it's kind of like the network and like New Japan World. If all it was old stuff, I wouldn't have it. But the fact that I'm watching, with New Japan, I get to watch all their shows that they decide to air on there. Network, the same thing. Now ROH is basically, if you want to watch all their old shows, pay $8. I don't want to pay $8 to watch old shows, so I'm going to cancel it. But when it was showing me the show on Mondays so we could watch it before the podcast, I was willing to pay the $8. But now I think it is more accessible, but I would imagine there's a trade-off there that happened to where it's not going to affect them that badly because the money they're getting from Destination America kind of covers that.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, as I said, they just have the buying of the rights to the TV show by Nessun as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. One last thing, guys, on this topic, and it's something that affects WWE. That's what's kind of interesting in this whole thought process, because we didn't talk about ROH and TNA, but there's one person that affects this whole thing and this scenario because of WWE, and that is Samoa Joe. His contract with WWE, allows him to go do other promotions and work other events when he's not with the NXT. I'm not sure of his contract. I don't know what the details are. I don't know the exclusivity of his contract when it comes to TV.
Apparently, he can do anything but just not be on anything that's national TV, which is what the problem is. Like, I think he was going to be allowed to be on those tapings for ROH when they were just on Sinclair.
Mm-hmm.
But now this is why that's a problem, because they signed a national deal.
See, I mean, what do you think about that, Harry? How does that affect Samoa Joe and ROH both?
I think Joe will still work the shows. He just won't work anything that's going to be taped for television.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe for the DVD.
I think that match was supposed to be a big main event for TV, though, so I guess they would make that like a pre-show, or maybe the main event, but it's not on TV now or something.
Yeah, you only get it if you buy the DVD for the show or something.
Yeah. I mean, but you know how, like, crappy that would be to TNA? like 4 of TNA's biggest stars ever are running right before frickin' TNA goes on the air. Like, just, if I'm an old TNA fan, I'm like, screw TNA, I'm watching ROH this week. Like, just saying.
I didn't know Chris Sabin was wrestling in that. Is he wrestling a match there?
I think he was referring to stop. Are you referring
I think Gary
to
knows
Styles?
what it is, but yeah.
So I'm asking for me. Are you referring to Styles, Joe, Daniels, and Kazarian?
Yes.
Okay. Just making sure.
No hate, Chris Sabin. You're a good guy, sure. So, yeah, this is an interesting situation going on here, and I hope that everything works out for TNA. I like Harry said, there's a lot of fear on what really is going to happen here, but we'll have to see as time goes on, and I'm sure we'll get that all figured out. But man, Harry, I know you're tired. Go ahead. What's up?
Just real quick, can I ask you guys a question here? Because we didn't really touch on this.
Yeah, go ahead.
How do we think that the arrival of ROH to a national scale affects a company like Lucha Underground that'll be running head-to-head against them?
Oof.
Paul, any ideas?
I think it certainly will. I mean, I don't know how much it's going to affect, because if Ring of Honor is still airing Saturday in these other markets on Sinclair, then I don't know if we'll see much of a hit to Lucha Underground, because I'm assuming people are if they're Ring of Honor fans, they're going to want to watch Ring of Honor as fast as possible, so they'll watch it on Saturday if they get the channel at a decent time, And if they do watch Lucha Underground, then they'll probably still watch Lucha Underground on Wednesdays. But who knows with this new set of things, because they're both really small channels, so I don't know how much crossover or overlay this is going to have on each other.
Well, another thing about Lucha Underground, too, is don't they re-air the previous week's episode right before the new episode?
They just started doing that, I think a month ago. That wasn't always the case.
It was at the beginning.
Well, I don't know, maybe it's just my DVR. It randomly started recording that a month ago, or record the 1 to 4 for some weird reason, and then give me the one after. But I mean, they show a ton of replays of that show because they don't have a lot on El Rey as it is. So
yeah. I mean, I could see where if you want to watch the first airing of it, it could hurt their numbers, and I do have a little bit of worry about that. I'm such a big fan of Lucha Underground. I love the product. I mean, honestly, if I'm going to be honest, my rankings would be NXT, Lucha Underground, ROH, and then TNA. I just love Lucha Underground that much. It's just great production value, great matches.
I would even take Underground first.
I would too.
I was just going to say the same thing there. I would put Lucha Underground ahead of NXT right now.
Oh, okay, that's fair enough. I mean, I like a lot of the different things that are going on in NXT for me, but I mean, I can see where you guys are coming from, and that speaks volumes right here. Our group right here talking about it. That 3 of you would definitely choose, Lucha Underground. I think that's really interesting.
Well, another big thing for me is I honestly think that Dario Cueto might be the best booked character in professional wrestling right now.
Oh man, I think I have to agree with you. Not totally, but I think he's up there in that top echelon of when people are sitting there already sort of putting him in that echelon of greatest authority figures ever. I think that's totally justified because that guy just has the way he is written and the way he delivers his lines and just everything about him is so interesting. You want to see the next backstage segment that he's in.
No pun intended here because of how he always hands it up backstage, but Dario Cueto is money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I think
I don't think that show works that well without Cueto there.
Yeah.
We can say all we want about how we hate authority figures being around, but seriously, that show is really good because when you don't have anybody else back to fall on, you have Cueto going around stirring the pot.
No,
it's such a wonderful stirring the pot.
What happens for me is I hate when authority figures overrun the entire show. Cueto's presence is necessary at times, but they also know when to keep him away from certain situations as well.
Yeah,
Very true. Anybody else have anything else you want to say about this whole, ROH stuff? Anything Lucha Underground? Anything you want to say? All right, silence.
I think when it comes to Lucha Underground, though, I think apparently that thing that happened with that we had talked about was not true. That posting on that website is apparently 2 months old.
We're talking about second season? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah. So that's still up in the air, and you have to wonder if... see, this is the thing. Like, I think that there is a lot of crossover between people liking Lucha Underground and then liking other things. But Lucha Underground is so different from everything else that is there, mainly because they accept what they are and they don't want to run against other wrestling promotions because they themselves are not a wrestling promotion. They are a TV show that has wrestling on it. And they don't go away from what they are. Case in point, what happened. I think this week is a perfect indicator of what they are and how they do not want to change for anyone. And they don't care if you like it or not,
I would ask that you tread lightly here because I have not yet had a chance to watch this week's episode.
No, I'm not gonna talk about anything that happened. But I'm just saying I think that there's going to be a little bit of interest now that you have 2 shows on TV, 1 on a network that are gonna run concurrent against each other. 3 shows that are very much liked with this community of wrestling fans. 3 shows that are also available in other places, if you'd rather watch them in those other places. But I think, Lucha Underground's ratings have been improving as it's gone along. But I still think the majority of people that watch Lucha Underground are people that watch it in Spanish. And that's why they're trying to bump up it up to the network, to get it on the big Univision and not have it on the secondary Unimas. That's why they're working on the Mexico deal. They're not working on another deal in the United States. As far as for American television, they're trying to work for it in more Spanish locations. So that tells you right there the people that are watching it more are the people that are watching in Spanish. So, we may talk about it as we love it and all these people that love it, but there's probably plenty of people that might watch all these other wrestling shows and they just go, man, Lucha Underground's so different, I don't know if I like it. From whatever it is that they don't like about it, they just don't like whatever decision that they make. I think there are plenty of people that still don't want to give Lucha Underground a shot because it's not what they're used to.
Here's a thought, Sean. Let's say that El Rey decides not to ring in for a second season of Lucha Underground. Is it possible that we might consider seeing another channel pick Lucha Underground up here in the States?
I thought Rodriguez is the one that has a lot to do with that show, and El Rey is his network. So I would imagine no.
But another thing about that is you got to factor in some of the names that are actually involved with this show as well, though. There are a lot of big names as far as wrestling goes involved with this show.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think that partnership that is there is because it's Robert Rodriguez and Mark Burnett, and they know each other. And if it's not on Robert Rodriguez's network, would he allow a show that's an original El Rey production? Now, this has happened with other TV shows, Would they allow it and work for another company? And that's the thing. I don't know.
Yeah, the best thought that I could think of here, and I'm going to kind of date myself here because I had the biggest crush on Melissa Joan Hart when I was a teenager, was when Sabrina the Teenage Witch moved from ABC to the CW.
Right.
Right.
So, it's not unheard of for shows to go to other channels from
Cougar Town did it. American Dad.
Scrubs also did it too.
Scrubs. And there's plenty. I'm sure that there's others that I'm just not thinking of right this second. But what do you guys think? Because I think it has more to do with Rodriguez. That's his network, and he's involved heavily in that show. So he wouldn't want it to go somewhere else to make money. He would still get a cut, but it would hurt the network being able to do anything, which that's what he wants.
If it's still a television program, I highly doubt it. I would think that hopefully Lucha Underground has proved popular enough in the States so that AAA would consider promoting here more often than just sort of what we've gotten right now, you know?
Yeah, I'm so afraid of moving it around and changing things up with it, with Rodriguez being a big part of it, and I want him as interested in the product as he can get, because I think without him, I think we're going to lose a lot.
Yep, that's what I'm worried about too. It goes to another network, the network starts meddling.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I don't think anything but Lucha Underground would allow it to be what it is. You know.
You mean being on El Rey?
Yeah, if being on, if you put it on a network that's more well known, the stuff that they do on that show, I can already tell you. I think us all being intelligent could probably already say there's no way that the network would go for that.
Well, I think a lot of the callbacks to like the sacrifices and stuff, I think another network might have a fit about. And I was just talking to one of my friends about that late last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Just like some of the dark characters and, just even some of the wrestling matches possibly could not happen. They couldn't be as brutal. Like that Grave Consequences match, I don't know if that could have happened on a network other than El Rey,
Yeah, and Matt Striker announcing and other things like that could be very risky on a network.
I'm sure Vampiro wouldn't be a big fan.
Yeah.
And I think, the focus on it being lucha would also become a problem for people, because they're like, well, this is so Mexican. This doesn't appeal to Americans, they would be wanting to change a lot, and I think it would just take the essence away from what it is.
See, that I can agree with, because I'm going to be perfectly honest with you guys, as somebody that does not watch a lot of Lucha Libre for the same reason that I don't watch a lot of Peresu, in that it's not an Americanized product, and there's not an English there's more times than not there's not English commentary with it. I almost didn't give Lucha Underground a chance when it debuted.
Mm-hmm. I'm right there with you, Harry. I'm kind of the same way. I'm not going to sit there and read subtitles or just watch it and not understand. I almost prefer to have the American announcers.
So if it comes to a point where Lucha Underground goes to being Spanish-specific, where it's only airing in Spanish, then unfortunately that's going to be the point where I stop watching.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's going to be hard for a lot of people. It's not just...
Well, it's going to be hard on Sean, too, because I'll have to have Sean on the phone the entire time I'm watching the show. What did he say, Sean? I couldn't understand that.
Sean's going to have to type out reviews of what they're saying in English, so that way we can read them after the show is over and understand what the hell they were saying.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
So, anyway, guys, well, we've talked a lot about Lucha Underground and of course, ROH TNA, a lot of these big shows and a lot of good stuff, but it is getting later, and I think it's time for us to probably move on. Definitely want to thank you, Mr. Harry Broadhurst, for staying on with us so long, and definitely giving us your thoughts on all these different things going on with these smaller TV shows and promotions that are, having some issues, and of course the ones that are flourishing. So, but man, Harry, I want you to make sure you get your plugs in, and just to let everybody know, since we are moving to Thursdays and we are not going to be close to Raw anymore, I want everybody that listens to our show to make sure that you go and listen to the Raw reaction every Monday night, or hey, on demand in between us and the Raw reaction, because they're going to be the first guys to talk about it, and they have lots of good stuff to talk about. So make sure you check out their show. And go ahead, Harry.
The Raw reaction airs every Monday night at 11:30 p.m. on the Voice of Choice Nation Network, www.blogtalkradio.com/VOC Nation Radio. Myself, 411 Manias, the colleagues of the guys here at W2M, Tony Acero, and the world fat-ass champion, Jimmy Christopher, bring you the most entertaining 2 hours about Raw every Monday night on the Raw Reaction. In addition, you can also listen to myself and Patrick Ketza, who was on for part of the preview, part of the discussion for Elimination Chamber as well, on Fridays, the day after Wrestling to the Max now, at 8 p.m. as we present Wrestling Unwrapped, which is usually a DVD or older show review show. We don't do anything current on Wrestling Unwrapped. We usually try to do it where it's DVDs, or if we do stuff off of the network, it's older stuff. Like this past Friday, we just did St. Valentine's Day Massacre 1999. And then this Friday, I believe Patrick and I are planning on doing Femme Fatales from Northern Canadian Wrestling, NCW, their 4th volume, which features Awesome Kong in one of her first matches back on the Indies after leaving the WWE.
Wow. That'd be definitely cool to listen to.
I gotta correct you, Harry. It is the World Fat Ass Champion of the world.
I'm sure Jimmy would appreciate that correction, sir. And Jimmy's going to have a lot to say about tonight's pay-per-view tomorrow night on the Reaction as well. I'm sure Jimmy and Tony both will.
Oh, man, I can't wait to hear
it. And that's what's cool about their show is you got each one of them has sort of this way that they think about Raw and the way that they talk about it. So, a lot of times, Tony will go at like the writing and the way it's written and the way he almost like it almost gets to the point of overanalyzing, but he makes it work. And then, Jimmy he's an ass, but he makes sense. And then Harry's just really intelligent. He just makes his points, So I think where a lot of times we sometimes, think the same way or whatever, they might think the same way, but they have a great way of making each one of them have their own unique viewpoint on something. So,
that's one of the things that me and Tony talked about at the start of the show, too, back when we were first getting this together in, like, April of last year, was that he looks at things from a writer's perspective, whereas I look at things from, like, an announcer and from, like, a creative perspective. Because he does the Raw report every Monday night for 411 Mania, the live Raw report there. So he's used to interacting with everybody, reading the report while he's trying to follow the show. And then I have the experience of being in the position that Michael Cole and Jerry Lawler and now John Bradshaw, Layfield, and Booker T are in that I have to convey to a live audience as well as to a crowd that might be watching down the road there. The promotion that I work for, the main promotion that I do play-by-play commentary for, is commentary done over the house mic so the entire audience can hear what I'm saying while the match is going on. So you have to keep them entertained without actually taking away from what's going on around you.
Man, that's even more hard.
It's a pain in the ass, but
props
I love doing it.
Oh man, yeah, I could definitely be scared of that because
when I did it the traditional way, where nobody's hearing me until you get the DVD or the TV show. So
Well, when I originally broke into doing it, I did it for a company called Hardcore Brutal Wrestling, and then that name got changed to High Stakes Battleground as we became more and more involved with bringing in name talent and getting away from like the deathmatch origins of the promotion. When I came in, they weren't really a deathmatch promotion, but they still had deathmatches, whereas as the company evolved, the deathmatches got phased out as they became illegal in the state of Ohio. But when I was working for them, it was a case of the commentary for those DVDs was done live at the desk during the show, but it was not broadcasted. It was added in post-production to the DVD. So you still had the feel of being in the arena for the shows, but you weren't actually distracting the fans by talking about the matches over the microphone. I personally don't like doing live commentary over the microphone, but that's the way things have always been done for this promotion, so it's not my place to change that.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I can understand that for sure. But yeah, I mean, we like I said, we cannot wait to get a chance to check out that Raw reaction tomorrow. It's going to be exciting. Of course, all the guys, Harry and his cohorts in crime, Tony Acero and Jimmy Christopher, have a lot of great stuff to give you tomorrow. So go check out that show. Especially since we're not going to be talking about Raw until Thursday. You need your Raw fix. Go get it. Go get it at the Raw reaction.
One other thing that I want to plug to the W2M members as well, actually, we have a contest going on over on Yes Wrestling right now to be a co-host for the Raw Reaction on June 22nd. Unfortunately, I'm going to be out of town that week, and this is already going to be a big Raw because the return of one Brock Lesnar is already announced for this episode of Raw.
Ooh, man. What a one bit to miss.
Yeah, well, I'm going to be out of town with a girlfriend that week, so unfortunately, I'm not even going to be able to watch Raw until probably that weekend.
Wow. So yeah, I mean, what do they need to do the contest, Harry?
In order to enter the contest to be a co-host for the reaction, what you have to do is you have to go over to the Yes Wrestling page, and you have to write why we should choose you to be the guest host for the Raw reaction that I have to miss. What will happen is myself, Tony, and Jimmy will pick 2 or 3 people who we feel responses are the best, and we will have them call in on June 15th, 1 week prior, and then we will decide who we feel will be the best fill-in for me for the week of the June 22nd episode of Raw.
All right, cool. Yeah, I encourage everybody that are interested, go do it, and I think it'll be a lot of fun. And definitely, all 3 of us on this show have been on the Raw reaction. I've thoroughly enjoyed my time. I know Paul and Sean, who've done it multiple times, enjoyed it. So you will too if you get a chance to do it. So go check that out. Make sure you join that contest. And once again, thank you so much, Harry, for joining us and staying on with us late, man.
Not a problem, guys. Once I get a chance to actually watch this week's Lucha Underground and TNA, I will be sure to listen to the rest of the podcast here.
All right, appreciate it, buddy, and we'll be talking to you later.
All right, you guys have a good night.
You too. All right, guys. Man, well, our show is actually run a lot longer. This is probably, a record-breaking extra?
Yeah.
I don't know how long we've already gone, Sean. How long are we? What's the count right now?
2 hours and 40 minutes.
Wow. Woo! So, do you think we can get these in, or do you want to save anything?
Well, we have to, because
Okay.
they'll be they'll be a week old, a week and a day old by the time we get to talk about it.
Okay, well, let's jump into it. Let's go ahead and hit it hard and heavy with NXT, guys. Let's talk about it.
All right.
WWE Developmental NXT.
All right. Well, NXT started out with Sami Zayn's music playing, but it's not Sami Zayn. It's Kevin Owens coming out as he sneers and laughs at the fact of the fans being excited about Sami Zayn, but it's not him. He also has this, that Cena United States title shirt on still. The fans even sing the John Cena Sucks song, which Owen replies with, "Hey, that's funny, but I never hear you guys singing Sami Zayn Sucks." Or, you don't say anything about Sami Zayn, but he sucks too. And Owens also says that, that's one of the things that's so great about Sami Zayn not being around anymore. You don't have to hear that stupid theme song. And, he talks about that he's not scared of Samoa Joe. He'll drop Samoa Joe if he ever steps in the ring with him. Regal comes out and talks about the people that Owens has stretchered out. He mentions Alex Riley and Sami Zayn and Neville. And Itami, and Owens is quick to say that, hey, I can't deny all the other people, but I had nothing to do with Itami. So it's probably one of those, I'm saying this now, but I really did. Then Solomon Crow comes out, calls him a piece of crap, literally. So, wow, we've gotten really PG at this point. And then Owens is like, yeah, hey, I'm feeling just great. So, yeah, we'll just have a match at the end. And then we also have Bayley and Emma, which wasn't very long, but I thought we got over the fact that Emma is a heel now. She's playing up the sex appeal a little bit. They changed her music. She still has a little bit the opening riff of the music, but then it changes. And you had some Dana, Brooke, and Charlotte interaction afterwards as well. What did you guys think of this stuff here?
I enjoyed the opener. I always enjoy the heel coming out to the face music. It's so dickish. And as far as everything else goes in that promo, I mean, it's pretty standard stuff. Nothing too over the moon. The women's stuff was quite good though. I enjoy Emma, full-fledged heel now. at least it's clear that we know where we're going with her. So that's a bonus.
Yeah, I mean, the whole Owens thing was fine. I think it worked, and he had to address both situations, not only the NXT, but also what was going on with him and John Cena. Nothing bad there. And of course, this match with Emma, I think, they are transitioning her even more now, and I think that's what we're going to get to make her better. But I think they need to give her more help or do something. I just don't feel like that's enough, because I don't know that anybody's really gravitating or really grabbing onto her yet. I think that she's got to do a little bit more building on that character.
Yeah, for sure. So we get a clip of the unstoppable match between Baron Corbin and Rhino. Baron Corbin, this is like, I guess, shot in a fallout or whatever from it. And Baron Corbin talks about, well, that was a big match, but, Rhino called me out and I beat him, or something really that similar. And then Rhino comes up and he's like, man, that was fun. That was intense. Like, we gotta do this again. And Baron Corbin gives him the eyes. And I'm sitting there going, wow, what show am I watching right now? I don't feel like I'm watching wrestling. This seems like some late night show that I'm watching between Rhino and Baron Corbin, but it is what it is. Did anybody else? I mean, am I the only one like this? It just felt weird. Like
I'm not comfortable with heel Baron Corbin yet, because he doesn't like heel. He still feels like he's the same guy, just slightly more.
Right.
It's true. There's not much out of Baron Corbin, honestly. It's kind of sad. We talked about this last week. If he's not a step away from being out of NXT, I don't know what he is, because he just does not seem like he's done much, even though he's been there a while.
I don't think he's going to be out. I think they obviously see somebody sees something with him, his size, his all that stuff. I think just that match wasn't bad that they had. It was just kind of, decent or whatever it was. I just think we got to see more out of him and see him take this heel character and run with it,
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of someone that's taking it and running with it, man, Alexa Bliss, again, being a heel, ramping up the sex appeal for Alexa Bliss. She looked freaking hot out there with Blake and Murphy. I mean, she was like owning that, like, just, I'm the boss now. Well, she's not the boss of NXT, but she's like, okay, I'm you need to be paying attention to me in this little group here, Team Bamf, as they're being called. I thought she had a pretty good promo there where she talks down Carmella, telling her that she's from Staten Island, and that place is garbage, and I'm gonna send her back to where she came from, to the dumpster. And then you got a squash of Finn Balor and Ty Dillinger. That match itself was a squash between Blake and Murphy and Mike Wallace and Elias Sampson. I hope it's Wallace, because I would imagine they wouldn't have two guys named Rollins. And you also get Kevin Owens, Solomon Crow. I'm still not sold on Solomon Crow at all. There's nothing about Solomon Crow that really makes me go, okay, I'm interested. I don't know what it is, if it's the character, if it's just, I don't know exactly. The fans seem to be into him in the arena, but I feel like this is the one indie guy that they brought in and just is not working. What do you think about all this?
And the one thing I'll say about it is, and I'm sure Paul has a different look on this, because I'm sure Paul's watched a lot of Solomon Crow. I'm just assuming that. I, as a person that haven't watched a lot of him, it's almost like I'm getting told that this guy's amazing. I'm getting told that this guy can do a lot of different things. But so far, I haven't seen it. So far, I'm seeing a pretty okay wrestler, but nothing that just really gets me going and gets me excited about him. And that's, I'm kind of with you, Sean. I'm kind of dumbfounded, because, hey, sure, he's okay, but he's not all that in a bag of chips, if I can go back to the 90s, when I'm looking at him.
To me, Sammy Callahan, Solomon Crow, whatever you want to call him, is a wonderful talent. I think the hacker gimmick isn't his style. He's used to playing this dark, broody character who is very much a psychopath. And the hacker character, I don't feel like has a lot of meat to it. Because outside of the original thing with him and, Jesus.
Parker, I think.
Yeah, CJ Parker. They haven't done much with anything as far as what that character could do or what he's about or anything. He's just Guy.
You know what? And hear me out. I think a gimmick change would do him a little bit better. I mean, I don't have a problem with the hacker thing, but for me personally, I just don't know
thing
where.
Is we don't know what the hacker thing's supposed to do. Like, what
Yeah,
is
exactly.
he hacking exactly?
Mhm.
Nothing. We've seen him hack the lights and the Titantron or whatever, and the board around the ring or whatever. But it's like, what are you going to hack into that's really going to lead you to do anything? It's just,
Yeah, see, and then that's my thought about it too, Sean. But I will not just kind of tear it down, but I'm going to give a solution. This guy is perfect for a serial killer type guy, a creepo, a guy that's staring behind the curtain, a guy that's looking at you and you don't realize it at the last moment, a guy that's going to be very vicious. I could buy into that in a heartbeat because he has that look.
So Sam Shaw?
Well, that was pretty much his character on the indie circuit. If you look up the Switchblade Conspiracy from Combat Zone, that's pretty much him.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, well, yes. I think I'm sold then. I need to go watch that stuff. But I think, like Sean said, for me, sure, the hacker gimmick's interesting, but you just can't showcase that enough.
The thing with that, with what you're saying, is that it works, but with PG WWE, it doesn't work. Because there's only so much you can do with the whole stalker thing.
Well, think about the movie Rear View, with with Hitchcock's movie Rear View. It's all about you imagining what's happening. It's not actually something you see.
I know, but that's a lot to have the audience go through watching a wrestling show, Gary. I think,
I think
if you
if
make things too complex,
Mhm.
then it's, you run the risk of people not getting it.
I get you. I totally understand. I'm just saying, I'm sure there's someone smart enough out there who can make it happen.
I would hope so, but you kind of run into the problem with Wyatt, where he goes on this rant of stuff that you're like, what? Not me or you particularly, but most of the audience is like, okay, he's speaking gibberish to me. Just you tend to tune him out, so you have to, I don't know, there's a fine line you have to play there, where I think, I love your idea, I really do, but if you can't take it really far, that's my issue with it, because those types of characters are characters that are supposed to be really towing the line between, holy crap, can he really do that?
Mm-hmm. No, I understand. But, like I said, it takes a lot of work. It would take a lot of work to not make it too overcomplicated.
Oh, well, I mean, did you guys, anything to say about Alexa Bliss and the promo, or Blake and Murphy, or anything like that?
I mean, I thought everything was fine. This episode was sort of jobberific, so there's not a ton to talk about.
Yeah, it's true.
We did have Joe come out at the end again, and Owens running off, and then, man, you know what? This is pre-taped, but Josh Matthews got what he wanted, right? Oblivion was mentioned by Kevin Owens there at the end. Like, Samoa Joe, you should have stayed in Oblivion. Okay.
That's so awesome. Oh, God, I hate Josh Matthews more and more. Here's the thing. I think Samoa Joe's great, and this is the end of the show and all, and, you got to build it up. They're doing that.
No, they're doing a great job, because Owens runs off and does the heel thing, and,
My biggest beef isn't nothing they're doing there. My biggest beef is that terrible music that goes with Joe. Oh my God! I mean, there's I would rather hear something from like an '80s band that no one knows about than that music.
Oh man, that music is terrible.
Oh, it's so awful. I'm like
It's
Joe.
like they really had to dig. Like we talked about. Okay, well they didn't call him Joe Samoa, but they sure had to make sure that they put in the stupid chanting and all that stuff in his music, and the just after the horn, it's like, what is this?
Mhm. It's like, hey, we're going to use a little bit of something that TNA had. Oh, and by the way, since Vince is a little bit pissed off that you're not exclusive to WWE, he's going to make your music terrible. So I don't know. I just feel bad for Joe on that.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, that looks like that's our NXT, guys. Let's go ahead and move on and talk about some Lucha Underground.
Alright, Lucha Underground. Started with Black Lotus appearing, and to have Chavo tell her that, hey, I'm watching your back, and that apparently find out that Matanza or Cueto's brother or whatever, apparently Chavo's grandfather was there the day that Lotus's parents were killed by Matanza. So, okay. I guess it works for trying to tell the story. Just seems rather convenient. Aerostar and Johnny Mundo. This is where we finally get Johnny Mundo's first match as heel Johnny Mundo, where he does a lot of ground and pound offense, as Matt Stryker mentions several times. He does a separate finisher, and then he still does the end of the world to end it. Thought it was a pretty good match. What'd you guys think?
I thought it was fine. I sort of wish Mundo would make his style less flashy now that he's heel, but I think we are what we are with where Mundo's at right now.
It is also Lucha, though. I don't think you want to make it more totally like the WWE style where he starts just doing a bunch of rest holds and all that kind of stuff.
I'm not talking rest holds, but his finisher does not need to be 10,000 flips off the springboard,
Oh, yeah. I agree with you on that, yeah.
Yeah, and especially with a heel roll, you don't want to be flashy like that. I mean, you got to maybe come up with a submission or do something just different. But, he is Johnny Mundo. He is flashy. He is Hollywood. So I guess it goes with the gimmick. But
I mean, with the parkour thing, you'd think he would be able to come up with like some really cool submission or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you'd think so.
Well, then we have an interview with Sexy Star, which I'm sure you guys were not that totally thrilled because it was in Spanish. They did have subtitles. Basically, she talks about Pentagon Jr. and her feud there, and then she's asked about Superfly, and she says he's still recovering. It didn't affect their friendship or whatever. That they're going to have a submission match next week. It just seemed, it didn't seem the same as the other sit-downs with Vampiro because you can obviously tell that she's having to deal with, I'm sure, Vampiro having to tell her in Spanish what to say, and then he's saying it in English for us, and then she's just saying stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think about submission match and just the interview, I guess?
The interview is, I'm not gonna say it's awkward, but it's certainly not thrilling. Simply because I think Vampiro takes the time to translate when really I would have preferred them just doing it all in Spanish and having it all subbed. That's totally fine with me. I watch plenty of subtitled movies. I watch anime that's subbed. Language barrier does not bother me so long as you put something in writing that I can understand. I know that's probably not true for most of the populace here that are watching the show, but it's fine for me. The submission match, I really hope they put Pentagon over. As much as I want Sexy Star to be a thing, I don't want it to be at the expense of Pentagon Jr., who has a riveting story going on.
I say I care less about really what happens to her. Pentagon Jr. to me is the star. He's the guy that's doing the most For me, at least, I think he's very interesting. I think he's got a lot of backstory that I want to hear. He's got a lot of other things that I'm just so curious about. Like who is his god that he's doing those things for, and just everything about him interests me. Sexy Star is not so much interesting. Yeah, cool. I respect, but I just don't have enough, I guess, attached to be a really big fan of hers or anything. So
I'm guessing you would fall in the line of you appreciated the translation there, Gary.
I did appreciate it, but you know what? Vampiro, he's too slow. Honestly, he should just asked it short and sweet. He kind of drug it out a little bit. It was just a little bit lengthy, and I was like, man, come on, you could say it quicker than that, because you're going to have to read all this other stuff.
Right. I would agree with you guys. I think, Pentagon is that one guy in the mid-card that you really are like, okay, this guy can certainly, you talk about like transitioning into that main event scene or whatever. Like, this is the guy that if they do this story right, he can immediately be one of those big guys that everybody truly loves. And the fact that it's Lucha Underground, whoever his master is, you can totally believe it could be something crazy like, what Paul, I think, has outlined a couple of shows ago that he wanted it to be. And with it being Lucha Underground, you could believe it could be that, what Paul said, because this show is crazy and it's possible, So we have they had a double main event, which is weird because normally they don't do it this way, but they had it back to back basically. Lucha Underground title, Prince Puma versus Hernandez. Conan is at ringside. I thought this was really good. I've heard some people say this is the best Hernandez match they've ever seen. I haven't seen that many Hernandez matches, so I would have to kind of go with that. I really like the way this was laid out. They did a lot of big move stuff and all that. Puma wound up winning. Conan even got involved as well. But what did you guys think?
I don't know if I would say this is one of the best Hernandez matches I've ever seen, but it certainly is one of his better singles outings I think I've ever seen. Puma retaining the championship, definitely the right way to go. I don't see anybody that's really in that position, I think, to carry the company the way that Puma does on a weekly basis.
Gary?
You know what? Looking at this whole thing, I think Puma retaining is the right thing here. I loved Hernandez being in this match. I loved, the fact that, he's just a different style than Puma. It worked fine for me. I thought it was very interesting. There were several times there you thought, oh man, Hernandez could actually be the champion here. But, in the end, it was the right choice for me personally. And I think it's so funny, the digs that Vampiro gets at Conan on the outside. I think that's also helping the story that they're trying to tell. And it's funny to me to say that because I'm not a big Vampiro guy. But I did like that every time he talked about him, he's like, oh, well, this guy's, just taking money out of these kids' pockets. So, but lots of good stuff overall, if you ask me. But anyway, that wraps up Lucha Underground for us, guys. A pretty good, decent show.
We should still have the death match.
No. We still have.
Oh, do we?
Yeah, we have the main event and the ending that we all need to talk about here because this puts Lucha Underground in a different place, I think, now after this. So we have this death match. It is not, now when you think about death matches, it is not that kind of death match. Just telling you in case you don't watch the show, there's no crap mines going off and barbed wire and all that stuff. But they did try to be brutal. There's lots of unprotected chair shots here, which you don't really see anymore. The frickin' Lucha Ghosts come out with Katrina, and that's just funny. I really like that. That's like cool. Mil Muertes looks cooler here. I thought he looked really good. The frickin' beginning where like Phoenix just dives and Muertes is like, okay, this bug just hit me. Like, it's like, oh well, Phoenix is screwed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the frickin' ending, of course, the powerbomb through the roof into a room. And then the Lucha Ghosts come and like just carry him to the ring, and then he does a nasty flatliner, and we get the lick. I don't think it's as good as the Grave Consequences, but it's still really good. What do you guys think?
I would agree with you that it's not as good as its Grave Consequences, but it's not trying to fulfill that same purpose of being a blow-off to that part of the feud. It's about establishing or re-establishing Mil Muertes as this incredibly powerful badass that he was before Phoenix found the crack in the armor. So I think this match does a lot to re-establishing Mil Muertes towards that direction. And the fact that he has a posse now is even better, because now he's pretty much just Ministry Taker, but Spanish.
It's true. Even the way he pins Phoenix, or Phoenix. Sorry, I'm having brain farts here. He did a great job, but I mean, the funny thing is, he pins him like Taker. Just kind of puts his hands on his chest, and I thought that was kind of an interesting nod to me personally. I like that thought and the way they did that, and of course, these ghosts. I couldn't help it. I'm like, man, this is too cool. I really enjoyed it, to be honest with you. There's lots of great things that happen. Of course, those spots that they put in these shows, the Lucha Underground, they're throwing you through windows, they're throwing you through roofs, they're throwing you through everything that you don't usually see on a wrestling promotion product. It all is happening there in Lucha Underground, and I'm loving it. So it's really good, and I think in the end, when you look at the look that Muertes has now, you think, man, he is kind of creepy looking. I just think they took it up another level. That mask, just to me, it just made me kind of think, wow, they did a great job.
Okay, so we only got this ending that people are split on. I think this is one of those first things with Lucha Underground people have really been split on, because it really promotes the movie style way that they shoot and the novella style way that they promote their show and everything. But basically, Cueto said that if the crew lost, they would have to suffer consequences, and so we don't get to see Matanza at all. We just get to see this cage and the 3 crew members, and basically, Cueto says, okay, well, you got to pick one. They pick Bale. They put him against the railing, and then we just see blood splatter everywhere, and basically Bale has been murdered. He's basically beheaded by Matanza because he got his head eaten. How do you guys feel about this? Because a lot of people that, being wrestling, it's still wrestling to them. This is weird, and this shouldn't be done on TV. And there's people that love this kind of stuff that are saying it's awesome. Where do you fall on that line?
I fall into the awesome camp because I love storytelling so much. And while this is totally telenovela, I eat this up with a spoon. I find it awesome and interesting, and it totally paints the picture of, we still haven't seen a lick of what Matanza looks like, but we know that this guy is a murderer on multiple counts now and is not somebody to be trifled with ever. So whenever Dario does decide to let him out of that cage and into that wrestling ring, people gonna die.
And it also adds into the Black Lotus thing, right? Like, you're like, oh crap, how is this woman gonna even,
do
touch
anything.
a hair on his head, Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for me personally, this is totally not the same as watching Monday Night Raw or TNA or any of these other promotions. This is its own show. Sean, you said it perfectly earlier. This is a TV show, and it's got wrestling in it. And this is legitimately what it is. It's not like Vince likes to pretend with his promotion. This is actually what this is. And the whole blood thing and all, I can see where people don't like that, kind of creeped out. But it's no different than watching any other show, CSI or anything like that. They have blood in those. There's death in that, and that's what they're doing with this, and it's okay. I mean, it makes sense with this, So no problem with me. I can see where other people would be upset, but you got to look at Lucha Underground in a different light than you do these other shows.
Yeah, I would think that at this point, like, Matanza has to be this deformed freaking. I mean, God, it has to, unless it's like one of those like 7'8" dudes or something. Like it has to be something. Look, what I'm imagining is when he says monster. Like I'm really imagining monster here, and then this just adds to it. Like he just murdered this guy, and it sucks. We won't see Bale anymore in Lucha Underground, but it's like, okay, permadeath here happening to a character. And I love it. I love the way that, we've seen other guys leave the show, like Drago, and it's all like a telenovela. Like, oh my God, he just got killed off. Now what are they going to do next? Like, I don't watch telenovelas aside from Jane the Virgin because it's done really well. But, my mom does, and I watch her freak out over the stupidest thing. But then, I'm watching this show, and I'm like, holy crap, they just did that. Like, this just happened on a show that has wrestling on it. I can't believe it. Now, what are they going to do next week? Like, that's what you're thinking, right? It's amazing, and that's really cool that a wrestling show can do that,
Mm-hmm. No, I agree, and it's something, like I said before, it's something that, I'm glad they can do. I'm glad they can do these kind of things because it makes it more enjoyable just because of the fact that it's a different show than the other ones we get a chance to watch. So I'm very happy with it, and so... well, I think this is the end of the show. I think I got a little confused earlier because just being a little late here. But that's okay. We're gonna move on.
Totally okay.
I know, man. I just sitting here trying to find ways to make sure that I don't pass out on you guys. So late.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. We've had a great show so far. I'm really enjoying it. It's just the fact that I did not realize we'd almost got to hour 4 or so. Let's go ahead and jump into some TNA Impact. How about it, guys?
TNA Impact Wrestling.
Oops. I started talking before I just dude, okay, I'm gonna go through this a different way. This is the last TNA on Fridays. I personally didn't really get around to watching this, so I'm gonna go through this in a different way than I normally would. Do you start off with the cage match between Gail Kim and Taryn Terrell? You have some dollhouse stuff happening. And what did you guys think?
The match is fine. It's nothing I would recommend to anybody as like, oh my God, go out of your way to watch this. But it's fine. I'm still a fan of the dollhouse though. That's I think what really drove my interest in this. So I mean, all the dollhouse stuff is fun too, just because their shenanigans and trying to make Kong, or not Kong, well yeah Kong, but Gale lose in this is a good time.
Yeah, looking at this whole match, it's really not about the match. It's about the story, and that's what they're doing here is they're telling the story. And by the end of this, I mean, you have the Dollhouse finding every way possible to help out Taryn to win this match. And they do it. They do everything possible, and they help her win the match. And in the end, when they're attacking Gail Kim, they get in the ring, and they're just doing everything they can to break her ring finger, and it's a statement. It's a statement to Gail Kim that Taryn Terrell controls her marriage. That Taryn Terrell controls everything, and she doesn't get to enjoy what she likes to enjoy because Taryn is going to make it hers. Basically, she's taking that territory. You thought you were going to take her title, but she's taking your territory, your life, your family. So I like that part of the storyline, and of course, you know, Awesome Kong comes and they try to lock themselves in the cage. They succeed, because Awesome Kong is going to come in there and destroy him. I really and honestly, I know it sounds far-fetched, but me personally, I wish Awesome Kong could have found a way to break the chain or do something, rip the door off or something to get in there. But, you know, to each his own, maybe they have another plan.
Yeah, so moving along, we have the continuing storyline between James Storm, Mickey James, and Magnus. I think Storm. They go on the story of Storm. Talks about how he saved Mickey, and him and Magnus kind of go back and forth. And what I'm getting from here is Larry's telling me that Magnus still comes off as an asshole, and Storm comes off really good. I would think that there's got to be something to this, because for one, you're kind of hindering the Revolution in this, number one, and number two, I mean, if they're even important anymore. Number two, there's got to be some kind of silver lining where James Storm shows that he's not the great friend that he's making himself out to be. That kind of saves Magnus here, because if you're making the husband seem like the asshole, this doesn't really. I don't know. It's confusing at times to me.
This whole feud doesn't work for me. My personal problems with James Storm aside, it's the problem that this guy seems like the good guy when clearly he's not supposed to be the good guy. As you said, Larry mentioned, that is the big problem with it. And it's not even that being the main problem. The main problem I have is that James Storm was doing something with the Revolution, who has now become secondary. So what's the point of those guys even being around now?
Mm-hmm. And why even mention the Revolution? Well, I mean, they've mentioned them several times. Here's the guys from the Revolution. But what if James Storm's not even leading them? Is there a Revolution? I don't know. I just don't like that.
Did you guys hear about the original plan for the Revolution, like who they were supposed to be?
I read. It was him and Shaw and Gunner and I'm missing two people. Yeah.
And somebody else that I can't think of right now. But it was none of them that are there right now.
Wow.
Do you think that would have been a better group, or the ones that they wound up having? I mean, I know you don't like Gunner, but...
I was about to say, Sam Shaw with Gunner and James Storm does not sound like a happy place to me.
Oh, that would have been your favorite, 25 minutes of TNA TV, huh?
It, Gary.
If that went more than 5 minutes, I think Paul would have turned it off.
Yeah, he's like, I got better things to do.
Boycotting TNA.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't know. I'm okay with the team they have now. I think, sure, it'd been interesting, but I think the team they have now was probably the better decision for me personally.
So we get the X Division title gauntlet match here that involves Kenny King, he's a champ, in case you don't know, Manic, Rockstar Spud, Mandrews, DJ Z, Tigre Uno, Argos, and Crazy Steve. What'd you guys think here?
It's fine. It's nothing overly special. It's nothing overly great. It's just sort of there, which is about how you could describe the X Division nowadays. So,
do you looking at this whole thing? And I had a big question, but you know what? I mean, I'm trying to think of exactly what that question was about this. I remember watching it and then having a question. I will just say this: in the end, after they get through with this match, and
you have Rockstar Spud winning. Like, what do you guys think of Kenny King losing it already?
I mean, it sort of goes along with the it's just there. There's no interest in any of these characters. They're just guys. There's no characters. There's no driving influence outside of Kenny King, and they switch it to Spud for whatever reason. There's nothing built here. They're just guys. Why?
It's kind of like, it's funny. Like, they really do give you intrigue into the knockouts, but then they just seem to not be able to do this for the X Division. It's kind of like how WWE started doing that for the mid card titles, but for a while the tag titles were kind of just there. Do you think it's a case of there's just too much to focus on and they can't all have it running, just all on in one move, or
It's been a problem that's plagued the X division for a long time. Outside of Austin Aries' flirtations with the division in the last couple of years, there's been no driving force behind. There's no driving, polarizing character in this division like there was at the beginning of TNA. We had, AJ Styles, and then suddenly you have Christopher Daniels and Samoa Joe and Elix Skipper and all these other guys who are developed characters and have a driving force behind them. And as opposed to now, where there are two people in this match that have something going, and Kenny King is one of those guys who has something going, and even that's not a large role. It's him playing second fiddle in the Beatdown Clan, and Spud is the underdog. Everybody else is just there. They're just guys.
do you think like they just don't know what to do with the X Division anymore?
I don't even know if it's that. I just don't know if they care. It's lackadaisical booking. There's like, throw them out there. Here's the belt. Go get it, guys. And they do whatever they can, and then they move along. Mm-hmm. It's like a footnote on the entire show.
It does seem like that for sure. I'm in agreement with what Paul is saying on that, and I think it's neat that they have different people involved in this, but all the people that they do have involved are not really meaning anything, especially when it comes to storylines or anything to do with the main story, stories that they're doing in the show. So, Rockstar Spud winning was to me a good thing. I think that at least you got that story going for you. The guy that was kind of the underdog actually once again finds a way to win. I like that story, and of course, the question I had was. The guy I believe Argos, Sean, is that his name, or
Argos?
Argos. See, I didn't really know much about him. They were talking about him, but I just don't know much about him in his AAA career. So it was interesting to have him in the match.
Yeah. So we have the next series in the best of 5 for the tag team titles. This was great. Apparently much better than the first match even. What do you guys think?
Yeah, this was the reason to watch. This was the reason to watch TNA this week. This match was amazing. This is everything you want this tag team challenge to be, and more. I think because they brought it on this match for sure. It is incredible.
Yeah, I believe. I feel the same way. These guys did a great job to put on a great match, and honestly. Kind of happy that this is a 2-0 scenario where the Wolves are right there on the cusp of winning and maybe making a clean sweep here. It's kind of a new outlook, instead of just doing a 50-50 booking like Paul always talks about. This is not 50-50 booking. It looks like the Wolves are dominating.
But now either the Wolves are going to win or we're going to probably have a 2-win comeback by Aries and Rude now.
Yeah, exactly. Sure, it'd be still predictable to an extent, but I think this made it less predictable. Because, I don't know about you guys, but I kind of really felt like, okay, here's the chance of the Dirty Heels to get their win back. That's what I really felt like was going to happen.
Yeah. That's what you always think about. It's the same thing like when you have a 2 out of 3 and it ends 2-0. You're always kind of like, whoa, that's not the way those things go normally.
Well, it's positive. It's not,
Yeah. Apparently, Kenny King is not happy with MVP. He leaves him a nasty message that, he's not happy about losing that X title. We have more stuff with Angelina Love and Velvet Sky. What'd you think here?
I'm personally not all too invested into this yet, so sort of meh to me. I know they handcuff or Love handcuff Sky to something and whatever, but it's just kind of
Yeah, I feel the same way too, Paul. And the one thing is I think I missed something in the storyline somewhere along the way. Sure, Velvet Sky's back, but I just don't remember. I guess besides her being out there, Angelina Love all of a sudden is now all just full on hatred. Now I know when Velvet left the first time, she was kind of like, ugh, whatever, I don't care. But all of a sudden it went from, being a I don't care to why are you here? I hate you. You're fired. And I don't like that. I wish they could have made it more of a reason for her to be in that level of hatred.
Yeah. I just, you know, the thing is, I don't really care about Angelina Love at all. So, like, her being involved in this thing, even though I get it, then it makes sense that, you know, she had to do somewhat with, you know, she wasn't nice to Velvet when she had to leave or whatever, but it's just kind of like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't really care all that much. So you have basically Tyrus in the penalty box with Mr. Anderson and EC3. What did you guys think of this match?
It had Mr. Anderson, but it also has EC3. So it's sort of 50-50 for me here.
Yin yang, right?
Yeah, I find EC3 entertaining and in all forms. So I was okay with this match, but I don't think it really set the world on fire or anything.
It seems to me that Tyrus has been more of a hindrance to TNA than he is a help. It just, oh man, is there anybody else that could put you to sleep more? He can never fight back very well. He can do a little bit, but not, you know, he's kind of a bumbling idiot. And that's not true to the case of the actual guy that is who he is, but I just feel bad for him, man. I'm surprised he hadn't just dropped his gear off at the front desk at TNA and said, I'm done. Because he is doing nothing else in this organization, and they are not helping him along at all.
Yeah, they put Carter over clean, though, so at least there is something to take away from this.
Fair enough. I just, the whole stuff with Tyrus, I wish they just would have left Tyrus out of it. Then I'd be a lot happier.
All right. We had the main event with Kurt Angle and Eric Young in an I Quit match. But we also have Eric, Rockstar Spud being asked about Option C and all that. He does note that he's really excited to have the X Division title, and that was his goal, but that he needs a new goal. This would seem like one of those times where it would serve the purpose of having Rockstar Spud keep the X Division title and not cash it in. I just think it's been cashed in so many times now that it does not really help the title. But maybe that's just me, and especially it being Rockstar Spud against Kurt Angle. I'm sorry. There's a little bit of the whole believability thing that just takes me out of that.
I don't know. It's not like the X Division title's gonna... If they're gonna do something with that division, then have them keep it. If you want to build the division around Spud, then do that. But don't... If you're going to commit to him keeping the belt, do something with it. Don't just write it off, you know?
Yeah. To me, personally, I think this is kind of interesting, but then kind of not because of what Sean said. Is it really going to be every year at this time? Okay, Option C put into place. No one ever just wants the X Division. Everybody always wants to cash in right away. And I just think that me personally, I think Rockstar Spud should be like,
but see, like with Aries and Saban, like I can see it because those are established guys that's where they've been, and they wanted to have that opportunity to be world champions or whatever. Rockstar Spud is very young. He made the point that it's the goal. Somebody's gonna have to have the title if it's not Spud, and you're gonna have Spud lose it for a one-off against Kurt Angle, who he's not beating. I mean, like both Aries and Saban were shocks, okay? But those guys are veterans. Like, Saban's didn't work. But still, it was sort of different. Like, Rockstar Spud is nowhere near on that level, So.
Yeah, I understand your point. You make a good point. It's just the fact of the matter is to me, it's not about just the size or the what level he's at. It's just the fact that they have done the Option C so much, it doesn't really excite you anymore, almost.
Anything to say about the main event?
It's a really good match. The hatred is palpable, even though I'm not a giant fan of EY's heel turn. This match is really, really good.
Yeah, it's really solid. And you know what? I mean, EY does a great job telling a story. I loved it for that reason, and you thought at times he was going to actually have the chance to win. So I like that. And plus, right when you think that he's going to get Kurt Angle turns the tables on him, and he ends up being the guy that says "I quit," which is kind of funny to listen to just because his voice is already funny. So.
All right, where will we rank this show? I guess
I'd give it a 7. 2 good matches, some stuff I could care less about. EC3 still going strong. Not too bad. 2-hour show, I think.
I'm right there too. 7's probably for me too, because not anything just awful, but there was some good stuff in here, so that's fair. What about you, Sean? So, all right, guys. Well, let's move on, and so once again, this is an extra. We're not crowning a superstar of the week just yet. We're gonna wait and do that on our Thursday show.
Technically, we kind of have to because those shows will be done. We can't counter.
You forgot ROH, right? ROH is counted in.
Well, okay, yeah, you're right. Never mind.
So let's just say
I just said
it's okay.
We won't have one for this week of NXT and TNA. Then we'll just have to base it off next week.
Okay, that's how. If you want to do it, we can.
You're right though. But
okay.
Then on Thursday we don't have anything because the pay-per-view is still technically part of that week. So.
Yeah, so we'll have definitely some contestants. Don't worry, people. So we'll get all that worked out between now and Thursday. Besides that, I just want to remind everybody, the reason I want you guys to know about the Raw reaction is because of this fact. We are not going to be on until Thursday, and so while you're waiting for us,
Friday morning, like when you're mostly listening to it.
That is true. Over the weekend and things like that. So I just want to encourage, while we are getting, our stuff in order at the end of the week, those guys will cover Raw for you. They'll get you all ready. And then, of course, we're going to come in and talk about Raw and talk about all those great things. But we are also going to add in all the new, fresh stuff like ROH, TNA, Lucha Underground, and NXT. So lots of cool things, and plus, man, when we are doing previews for big shows, we're actually literally doing the preview because we're going to have the entire card in front of us. No more, is this going to happen or is that going to happen? We'll actually know by that time. So that's going to be great. Can't wait for that. So looking forward to the move to Thursdays. And, of course, if you guys have any other questions or comments, hey, please shoot us on our Facebook page. Hit us up on Twitter. We'd love to hear from you. Hey, we even have an email account you can go hit us up on. So lots of stuff to contact us with. And, of course, we have some other things that we're going to do. But, Sean, go ahead and plug away.
All right. Well, the guys that were on already plugged all their shows, so I don't need to plug them again. And Gary already plugged the Raw reaction again. I'm not gonna guarantee this because I also still have to watch a bunch of shows. I had to watch a bunch of these matches, the New Japan, the Best of the Super Junior matches. But I'm going to try to do a night 5 through whatever number this is now, 8 or 9, tomorrow at some point. I don't know, it might be like 2 o'clock in the morning. I did the other one at like 3 o'clock in the morning. Just the point is to get it out for you guys that do care. There was a nice little turnout, so I appreciate it. I know I probably didn't do the greatest or whatever, but it's not the easiest thing in the world to be trying to do this. I really hate doing these kind of things with myself. But either way, we are going to try to at least do the final, which is on Sunday. On that Sunday, so that it's not 5 or 6 days old by the time you guys listen to us again that following Thursday. So there's that. As far as with this show, we're also going to be able to give you like highlights of what happened on SmackDown too, which is kind of, even though WWE doesn't always use those for the next Raw or whatever, but we can kind of give you a bigger story of the week instead of just what happens on Raw. So that's kind of cool of being on Thursdays.
Yeah, we're just gonna be careful because we already cover so much that
I'm just gonna be like, here's what happened.
Yeah, I just don't want to promise people a lot because I know
we can't watch it because we're gonna be doing other stuff. So
yeah, I just don't want people to get confused.
Yeah, I will tell you this straight up. Gary and I and Paul will not be able to watch it because number one, Gary and I will be, especially once football comes around, we'll be watching the Thursday night game and having a sports podcast before we even do the wrestling podcast. The wrestling podcast will come on pretty much as soon as we're done with the sports podcast. So if you listen live, it'll probably be around like 12:30, 1 a.m. or something like that, whatever. Which is normally around the same time we do it anyway, but just saying. So it'll be impossible for us to watch SmackDown as it is. It will be just basically us reading a report and kind of, if there's anything interesting that happened, we can kind of sort of mention it or whatever when we do Raw. That way there's kind of like a complete week going on. But yeah, so I did mention that. We had the football. We had I thought me and Gary did a really good job on. It wound up being on Friday night. We talked about the FIFA scandal thing. Gary and I had fun doing some under 20 World Cup picks, and we talked a lot about NFL news and the Adrian Peterson thing and Ray McDonald or whatever. And you know what? I miss Randy, but I thought me and Gary did a pretty good job. And Gary, for not being a soccer fan, I thought we kind of covered all the FIFA stuff. So,
Yeah.
Speaking of that, I hate to do this to you again, Gary, but you and Randy get to have fun. There's now 2 soccer competitions we have to do because I basically got somebody got wind of me doing the New Japan stuff, and somebody decided that it'd be great for me to all of a sudden get grabbed to cover the Japanese women. Who are the defending champions of the Women's World Cup. So now I have to do that. So we're going to be doing some fun picks of not only Copa America, but the Women's World Cup too, along with the NFL news and all that stuff for Thursday. I will have a guest on for that, so it'll be Gary and Randy getting to have fun while I try to get the guest to give us what might actually happen or something. Who knows? He might just be as bad at picking as all of us are, because we're not always the greatest at doing predictions. As is noted in this contest that we do for the wrestling show, we're usually at the middle part when it comes to, we're the hosts of this show, and most of our listeners do a lot better than we do. What does that say? It's just, but yeah, so there's that. Crawford Multiplayer is also around. I don't know when I'm going to do it this week, but we're getting closer and closer to E3, which means lots more stuff for me to do because we're going to do live reactions to all the conferences and all that stuff when that comes around. And I should have mentioned the TWE After Dark, Steven Randall. Now, he'll be by himself on those Tuesdays. We'll be able to listen to him, Gary, and we can be in the chat in there, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that's pretty much it. So...
Cool.
Make sure you rate and review us on Stitcher and iTunes, because that helps us out a lot. It would be really great if you did. Go visit the Facebook group if you're not already on it. I got to add Brandon and Glenn today, so if you liked what you heard from those two, they'll now be in the group being able to talk with you guys. And you can follow us on Twitter at Wrestling2Max. I've been trying to be more active on there besides just doing Raw and pay-per-views. And I've gotten a lot of people responding, and I've gotten people that listen to the show that had no idea listened to the show. So that's cool. So yeah, if you're on Twitter and you don't know that we're on Twitter, Wrestling2Max without the, it's there and you can follow us.
For sure. So lots of great ways to contact us. And hey, that Wrestling to the Max Facebook page is full of wrestling fans. If you're looking for a place to talk wrestling, that's the best place to do it. Go jump on there, and there's lots of people who love to talk with you. So,
and that was fun. The pay-per-view. A lot of times these pay-per-views haven't been as active as they've been beforehand. This one was really active tonight. So thank you to everybody that was on there watching and commenting and stuff. That was really fun.
Yeah, so hey, if you like Sean's saying, there's a community right there. You can jump into a group and talk about the pay-per-view while you watch it. So make sure you go check that out. There is always a pay-per-view thread. There's always a Raw thread for you on the W2M Facebook page, and it's always active, and looking forward to seeing you in there. So, well, guys, until next Thursday, always remember, if you're not living life to the max,
not living life at all.
You know it.
Please.
Later.